This show is part of the RetroZap.com podcast network.
This is what you can look forward to on episode 116 of Skywalking Through Neverland.
State your name for the record.
Jin Urso.
Forgery of imperial documents, possession of stolen property, aggravated assault, resisting arrest.
On your own from the age of 15. Reckless, aggressive, and undisciplined.
This is a rebellion, isn't it? I rebel.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls.
Hello, Skywalkers.
Listen!
NeverLand!
I only hope that we never lose sight of one thing, that it was all started by a mouse.
You are skywalking through Neverland.
Hey, Skywalkers, and happy Force Awakens Blu-ray DVD release day!
Woo! We went to our Target.
And we got a copy. I can't wait. But before we get into all that, we want to thank you for joining us on
Skywalking Through Neverland.
And welcome to all the new Skywalkers out there who are just joining us for the first time. And hey to all the Periscopers right out there. And of course, we want to welcome back all the vintage,
Classic,
retro,
old school,
veteran,
first generation,
Skywalkers to our family-friendly Star Wars Disney podcast that brings you entertaining stories from creators and fans.
Team Hoojib is in the house. Yay!
Team Hoojibs are always in the house.
Ninja Bot. Okay.
This is Richard, and everyone please say hello to my sweetie wife, Sarah.
Yay, it's me, and I'm excited to watch The Force Awakens in my own home. In our own home. I'm so excited. But first, I want to welcome all you Skywalkers, and we love it when you tweet at us during the show, or you're watching on Periscope during the show. So if you want to follow us, please follow us at SkywalkingPod and tweet at us and watch us. And it's really fun. And people are always commenting. We have hello from the Sunshine State from Star Wars Fan FL. So yay, hello.
Yeah, I'm loving this Periscope thing.
I know, it's so much fun. Oh, Go Mouse Scouts just invited followers. Thank you, Go Mouse Scouts.
Yay. Well, we are recording this from Long Beach, California on April the 5th. Force Awakens release day,
Right?
2016.
Awesome.
Well, release day in terms of Blu-ray, DVD, and VHS.
Mm-hmm. Blu-ray Day. I like it.
Blu-ray day. All right, good deal.
Joey Pittman. Nice.
Thanks for everyone for giving us the ideas last week about the Cliff's Notes countdown.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, we got to mention that
We were
because
totally missing some
for
things.
some reason I didn't think about adding on the Celebration Europe.
Yeah.
Well, I know why.
Well, yeah, because we're not going, but we're excited for all you Skywalkers who are going, and so we need to put it in our Cliff's Notes countdown.
Yeah, it was more of a psychological thing that we left it out.
Yeah, I
But
think so.
It'll go in next time.
Yes.
And then also we were given the idea about putting the Rancho Obi-Wan charity event, which is going to happen in November.
And I believe that'll be the actual 5-year anniversary, like on that day.
Rancho Obi-Wan, or the fact that they've opened it up to the public?
No, just Rancho Obi-Wan itself.
Okay.
Yeah, because I know opening to the public, it hasn't been that long.
No, see, those are our badges right over there from Rancho Obi-Wan. And that was 2011. Wow.
12, 13, 14. Oh my gosh, that
It
is
has been
16 years.
5
What?
years.
Has it been that long since we've been there?
Where's time going?
Oh my goodness. Wow.
Well, we'll definitely have to make it this year.
Yes.
All right, now we're going to reach out to you Skywalkers once again. We're going to do a new segment on Skywalking Through Neverland called Skywalker's Super Silly Secret Talents.
Or Skywalker Super Secret. Uh-oh. That's
See.
hard to say fast.
There's a talent right there.
Yeah. Who can say it fast? Skywalker Super Silly Secret Talents.
Yeah, now, so this is where you get to showcase one of your many super secret silly talents here on Skywalking Through Neverland. Do you have a Disney, Star Wars, Marvel talent that you want to share with us?
That is audio friendly.
Yeah. Like, can you make a perfect BB-8 noise?
Ooh.
Can you sing a Disney song backwards? Maybe you can reenact a scene from the Avengers doing everyone's voices, but with Italian accents?
Something. Anything.
Yeah, anything you want, reach out and let us know, and we'll put you on a future segment.
That's right. So email us, share@skywalkingthrough-neverland.com.
Yeah, we've met a lot of people with all these these silly talents. It's like, we got to build a whole segment around that.
Yeah.
So, anyone on Periscope? Do you guys have any super secret silly talent?
I think that rolls off the tongue better than super silly. So super secret silly talents? Super secret silly talents.
Super secret silly talent. That's
I like
right.
that.
Okay.
Let's change that.
Okay. I'll change it later on.
Okay.
Now, why don't you tell everyone what's coming up on this episode of Skywalking Through Neverland?
Well, we talk with Craig Miller. Now, he was the publicist and director of fan relations for Lucasfilm during their heyday of the 70s and 80s. So it was super exciting to get to talk with him.
He was the pre-Steven Sansweet
Yes.
back in the 70s and 80s, and what a great time we had talking to him.
Yeah, it was like,
so
nearly
much
an
fun.
hour of conversation?
Yeah.
Oh, it was
and
great.
for those of you who had gone to WonderCon, he had done a great panel called Star Wars and Fandom of the 70s. Mm-hmm. And I just had so much fun because there were so many questions I had to ask him.
As we mentioned at the top of the show, The Force Awakens Blu-ray just came out today, and we invited our friend and fellow Long Beach neighbor, Drew Kaplan, to come over and help us review the bonus features. So for this episode, we'll review the highly anticipated deleted scenes, and then next week, we'll go over the other bonus features, like the secrets of The Force Awakens cinematic journey and the other featurettes. Well, also on this episode, we have shout-outs, Skywalker of the Week, of course, and we also have...
We interrupt this episode of Skywalking Through Neverland to bring you some late-breaking news. The first trailer for Rogue One, a Star Wars story, was released this morning on Good Morning America. Then subsequently everywhere else, including our new Facebook group page.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. So we woke up, it was like Christmas morning because, of course, we're on the West Coast. It was already up on YouTube by the time we woke up. So it was super exciting.
And that was the first thing that ran through my head this morning.
Yeah, we like ran out in the living room where we're like, let's turn on the TV.
Normally we have breakfast first and foremost. Nope. Ran right to the
Not
TV.
today. Yeah. Oh my goodness. So we were excited.
All right, so now let's talk about this cinematic journey.
Yes, I think we should.
Known as the Rogue One trailer.
Finally, we get footage.
Now, are we considering this the teaser or the trailer? Now, for me,
Go
ahead.
Okay. Well, I mean, it was billed as the teaser trailer. However, I mean, for me, this was like a full trailer because you got a sense of the story. You saw a lot of it. You know, you have a definite establishing place and time and character. And I think for me, that signifies a trailer.
Yeah, I'm on board with that. The teaser trailer is what we got at Celebration Anaheim, where you get teased. Now this, I'm considering a full trailer because you get story elements.
Right.
All right, so we're in agreement?
Yeah.
This is the
We're
first
calling it a trailer.
All
Yeah.
right, good deal. Now, let's start off here.
Attention Skywalkers. Spoilers ahead.
Warning!
Attention Skywalkers. Spoilers ahead.
Warning!
Okay.
We begin with piano music, much like The Force Awakens.
We do. And yeah, I know. I definitely saw that. And what theme is it playing? It's the Force theme. It's playing the Force theme.
Which
Now,
is unusual.
Yes, I thought that was unusual considering that even Kathleen Kennedy had mentioned that, you know, these stories, what were they? Star Wars stories were not going to feature Force users, right?
Right, yeah.
Yeah. So
But I think beyond that, they just wanted to connect the audience.
I think so. I think they were using those themes. And later on, you hear Darth Vader intermingled with the Force theme. You know, those themes?
Right.
So I think that's really not going to be used in the movie. I think that was just a way of getting audiences into this.
Right. Now, I would say that was there for the Muggles.
Yes,
These,
exactly.
These Star Wars Muggles.
The Muggles.
Which are the fans who are not hardcore, but when they hear that music, they're brought into the Star Wars world.
Right.
That's what that served, and that was done brilliantly.
I thought so too.
And then we meet our heroine, Jyn Erso.
Yep, Jyn Erso. We got a name.
Jyn Erso.
Woohoo! That's another reason why it's not really a teaser.
Yeah, I had to look that up on IMDb.
Yeah, isn't it
She
like
says,
JYN?
She says Jyn Erso.
Jyn Erso.
And I didn't know how to spell Erso because she's got that English accent. So it is Jyn Erso, E-R-S-O. And interestingly enough, it begins with her being arrested. She's already arrested.
Right.
And she's brought into the Massassi base on Yavin 4.
Well, you know what I got from that? When they were announcing, she's arrested, and then they're talking about how she's 15 on the streets. I thought of Ezra from Star Wars Rebels.
Oh, yeah.
I kind of got a connection with that there. So
yeah, I really believe they're going to marry the characters of Ezra and Han Solo into this, because she's the rogue. The rogue fighter who wants to fight alone, but yet she's still in that whole trying to find herself.
Right, exactly. Yeah, street rap from Aladdin, says Michael Nip. Nice, on Periscope.
Yeah, and now she's being arrested. I find this really interesting for
forgery of Imperial documents, possession of stolen property, aggravated assault, resisting arrest.
Now...
What did that bring to mind for you?
Well, in the end, we see her in Imperial armor.
Ooh.
Which means she, like Thane from Lost Stars, was part of the Empire, and something's making her turn. And I think before she fled, she just stole all this stuff from the Empire.
Oh, interesting.
So we're setting her up as an Imperial thief.
Okay.
A thief who steals Imperial stuff.
Right.
We don't really know what it is. So I think that is setting up the plot where she has got to be the one to steal the Death Star plans.
Okay, because she's a spy, which is what Kevin Raider Nerd said.
Well, I think she'll be turned into a spy.
Okay.
Because she was part of the Empire. We don't know how much, but we see her in that Imperial armor. So it won't take too much to get her back into maybe the ranks. I'm sure by now the Imperials will have her face plastered up everywhere.
Right.
So how much of a spy could she be? So we don't really know.
Okay.
However, she like Finn in The Force Awakens, she does know how to get in and out of places because she's been there.
Right.
So we're setting her up as a thief.
Okay.
And that's going to be her, I think, introduction into the rebellion.
Okay.
All right. Then next up, we see a shot that's going to be used as the publicity shot for Jyn, which is her at the Massassi base with the green
thing behind her,
strategy chart behind her,
right?
Just like we saw with Princess Leia, and a ton of Star Wars publicity photos.
Yeah, in fact, her and Mon Mothma, we saw that green background. So this green background is kind of signifies females in Star Wars, sort of.
We did see 3PO in front of that.
Well, that I know, but I just
point taken.
It's a recurring shot,
and we were amazed by how much. At this point, she's brought to Mon Mothma. And we were amazed how much she looks like the Mon Mothma from Revenge of the Sith.
Okay.
It was Genevieve O'Reilly.
Yeah.
And that was really, really exciting that they brought her back.
Yeah, reprising her role.
Yeah, they're bringing in prequel actors, which really, really excites me.
That is exciting, Like, don't gloss over the prequels, guys. Let's use it.
And Mon Mothma is telling Jyn about all her charges. And what does she say?
This is a rebellion, isn't it? I rebel.
Okay, awesome.
So there you have your Han Solo.
Yes. I know for me, I've always loved the Revolution, the American Revolution, that time in history. And I was always on the rebels' side. And so this for me is kind of bringing that back in a way as well. So I wonder how much of that history is going to be used in this particular movie. I don't know. I like the historical ramifications there. Because
Oh,
Star
yeah.
Wars has its roots in actual history.
Oh, very much so. Which I think is one of the appealing parts of Star Wars because you can really relate to it
Yeah.
on that level. All right, then we cut to Diego Luna.
Yes.
Who is it? Me or does he look like Poe?
Could he be Poe's father?
He could. I don't think they're gonna.
Someone was
tie
mentioning that in our
much.
Facebook group.
Really?
I honestly, I think like they would tie stuff together. I mean, they're trying to tie stuff together between comics, and everything.
But I think they want to really keep this separate from the
from the
actual
overall story.
Yeah, the Skywalker storyline. So I don't think he's gonna. I think he just looks like Poe. I don't think he's going to be related.
I'm gonna say that he is gonna be related.
So according to people on Periscope over here,
They're
all
love
for
it.
that.
Yeah, they would love it. I would love it too.
Oh, I would love to see more of Poe's heritage.
Okay.
But maybe we don't need to tie everything together.
Yes, we do.
But according to the look on your face.
Aaron Goyne says he doesn't look anything like his father from the comics. Okay.
No, but there's artistic liberty here.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think they can get away with that. But I'm just going to go on record by saying I hope they don't tie this character into Poe.
Okay. Periscope disagrees with you.
All right. Then we get some Rey-like shots where we see Jin kicking the butt of all these stormtroopers.
In a marketplace.
Yeah. So now I immediately...
The streets, I guess.
I immediately thought of Rey because she's got the staff.
Okay. Yeah, I could see that.
So already we're getting some parallels.
Yep, definitely. I like it. All right, are we on to that amazing shot of the Star Destroyer and the Death Star yet? Because that blew me away.
Well, let's build up to that.
Okay.
Because she is told by Mon Mothma...
We have a mission for you. A major weapons test is imminent. We need to know what it is and how to destroy it.
So my question is, okay, so they know about the Death Star, but they're talking about the test. The test.
I don't think they know about the Death Star. They know that there's some kind of major weapon that's being tested.
Oh, I think it's very hard to hide the Death Star.
Oh, well, I know.
What she's saying is that there's a major test going on.
Okay.
So the test is imminent, which means that they probably know that this super weapon can destroy a planet. So they got to find out what this is in quick.
Right.
And then from there, what do we cut to? The Death Star being built.
Oh,
what
my
an
gosh.
amazing shot.
This shot was so cool. Oh, Juan John says, wasn't the test Alderaan? Yeah, you kind of have a point there.
Yeah, and that's Mon Mothma's point right there. She wants to find out what this test is going to be before a planet gets destroyed.
Right.
And we kind of see how that turns out.
Right. Well, yeah. My goodness.
All right, now let's talk about this shot where we focus on a Star Destroyer.
Yes.
And the camera pans over.
And that shadow's going around. And you're like, what is this shadow? And
then
then
what do we see? The big radar laser dish.
Yeah, the laser
being
dish.
lowered into the Death Star.
Oh! So cool. Oh my goodness.
That is just an amazing shot to all those Star Destroyers around it like they're keeping guard.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Fantastic.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Oh, and then when do we get those sounds? Like, I love how this trailer is peppered with the sounds of Star Wars that we know.
Yeah, this is the klaxon alarm sound, which you hear on the blockade runner, you hear on the Death Star, you hear all over the place, but they'll lower the pitch and raise the pitch to make it sound different.
Oh, it was immediately recognizable as Star Wars, but I couldn't quite place it, but you were right on it.
Yeah, that's also the sound that we heard as we broke into our own podcast.
Yeah. Yes, we did. Okay.
All right. Then next. Oh boy. Okay, here we go. Things are about to get down and dirty because we meet a High Admiral.
Oh, or a Grand Moff.
Well, it's a High Admiral because
how do you know?
If you look at his insignia, he's got red on top, 6 red and 6 blue. Okay. That is the insignia for the High Admiral.
So is he high enough that he gets to pick his own clothing?
Oh.
Because that cape rocks.
That he is wearing the white tunic with the white cape. Now, this is a character played by Ben Mendelsohn.
Oh, okay.
And he's an established actor.
What has he been in?
Exodus with...
Barely remembering this movie now.
No, he's going to be in Kyle Newman's film, Ready Player One,
Oh,
which is
okay.
in pre-production. He was in Guns for Hire.
Never
he
saw
was
it.
in Exodus, Gods and Kings.
He's in Girls?
He is in Girls.
Oh, for like an episode.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I want to see an episode with him and Adam Driver. That would be cool.
That would be.
But now let's look at this shot right over here where we see Ben Mendelsohn as the High Admiral, and he's standing in the Death Star, the room where they fire the super weapon.
Oh,
because if you look right
is that what it is?
in back of him, you'll see the view screen that we were showing Alderaan.
Ooh.
Yeah, and there's a planet in back of there. There's a planet on the view screen.
Whoa.
Now, we don't see it, we see it as a graphic, but...
I'm glad you're here to tell me these things.
I think something's going down.
Yeah.
They have a planet in range.
Yeah.
Which means...
Scary.
That test is very, very imminent.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Wow.
And it's a very dramatic shot. He's centered right in the shot.
It's
which
an awesome
means
shot.
he's got full control of the situation.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at the old John Wayne films, they always have him centered right in the middle of the shot before he's about to kick some butt.
Can I make
I don't know
a
why I
prediction?
just thought about that very timely reference of
I
John
know.
Wayne.
I don't know. But can I make a prediction about this Admiral
Sure.
dude?
The High Admiral.
The High Admiral.
Come on, give him respect.
Because I thought he was Tarkin at first.
Well, he's not Tarkin because we know that Tarkin is going to be digital.
Right. So if he's not Tarkin, then he's his own High Grand Admiral, and we know that this test has got to fail unless there's something we didn't hear about in the galaxy. I think he's dying by the end of this movie. That's my prediction.
But he's got an awesome cape.
I know, he does have an awesome cape, but as Edna Mode said, which Juan John was just talking about on Periscope, if you're a superhero with a cape, that's bad for you.
All right, so I love the fact that this trailer fades in and fades out.
Okay.
I always love that in trailers.
And it has so many great establishing shots. Long shots, wide shots. You like that, don't you?
Oh, I love that. That just says that Gareth Edwards, the director, did his homework and really watched George Lucas's directing style.
Yes.
It's really apparent in all of these frames.
Mm-hmm.
Now, next we have troopers.
Yeah.
And they're holding a village captive. So we think. We don't know. I'm just guessing from what I'm looking at here.
Right.
And you see all these classic stormtroopers.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I love that. And then we're introduced to Forrest Whitaker.
Yeah. Who has some speaking lines in the back half of this trailer.
Yeah. So we're led to believe that he's like the sage, almost like the Obi-Wan.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't see much of his costume, but I just love the look of him. So I think from now on, whenever I see Forrest Whitaker, I won't see Jefferson from Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
No.
I'm gonna see finally Rogue One.
Nice. Now, in these troopers, is this where we see the new black
Yes, we
stormtrooper?
do. Look at him right over here.
Yeah. I think we're gonna see this happening at some Star Wars celebrations coming up.
Oh yeah. Oh, Celebration Europe. Everyone's gonna be in Rogue One.
Yeah. Well, maybe. Well.
Oh, I'm sure the 501st right now are looking at this.
Oh.
Those are incredible. I almost want to call them shadow troopers, but we don't know what kind of ranks they are.
Right.
But they're black stormtrooper variants. Let's say that.
Yeah.
And
that's
as
pretty
you
cool.
pointed out, what's in the background there?
It looks like a moisture evaporator.
Yeah, and it does have a very Tatooine look,
Mm-hmm.
which is not to say that any other planet doesn't have moisture evaporators.
Yeah.
But come on, when you see moisture evaporators, you got to think Tatooine.
Yeah.
Now, someone just said
Darth
it could be
Taxis.
her in disguise.
Darth Texas says that could be her.
Oh,
Perhaps. That's an interesting
Oh,
idea.
you know what? You know what, Darth Texas? That person is wearing that black armor, but we only see them from the chest up.
Right.
And on Jin in the very last shot, we do see her chest covered in that black armor.
Mm-hmm.
So, wow, good catch.
Wow.
Very good catch. So now we see more village shots of rebel pilots being handcuffed and led by stormtroopers.
Yep.
Well, now it cuts to a couple of running shots.
Okay.
Got to keep that action going. And then we have Donnie Yen.
Okay. Now everyone is blowing up about Donnie Yen. Who is Donnie Yen? I'm
that guy.
Right. Has he been in anything else? Because some people are very excited to see him particularly.
Yeah, I don't know of any films, but I know he was in a lot of the martial arts films, kind of like the new version of Jackie Chan.
Okay.
All right, people, we're asking you on Periscope, where do we know Donnie Yen from?
Yeah. IP Man? They're saying IP Man. Highlander Endgame. What's IP Man? Ip Man. Yeah, what is this Ip Man 3? Ip?
Yeah, so, he's
Hong
an Ip Man
Kong.
3.
Hong Kong action star. So I know Ip Man 3 from constantly stalking Box Office Mojo was big in China.
Okay. So he was an Ip Man 2 as well.
On Netflix, apparently.
Okay, and Ip Man. Ip, IP.
Yeah.
So we just know that he's huge as
Okay.
a Hong Kong martial
Martial arts dude.
star.
Okay.
Well,
Nice.
judging by these clips here, this man can kick some armor.
Yeah,
Look at
I
him
guess.
go.
I would say so. They're saying he is Ip Man.
Okay. So people on Periscope are saying he is Ip Man.
Oh, like Bruce
He's
Lee.
like Bruce Lee,
Okay.
okay.
Thanks for breaking that down, J-Dub. All right. Awesome. See, I like having Periscope on.
Yeah, it's very, very nice.
I like it.
All right, so we have Donnie Yen kicking some armored butt, and then comes a shot that really excited me.
Okay.
And you have these troopers, and they're firing their blasters. Now, why does that excite me?
You're gonna tell us.
Because one of the biggest critiques I had about The Force Awakens is that the laser blasts looked and sounded like Star Trek.
Okay.
Now, they have the Star Wars look and sound to them.
So now you feel much better about
I feel
this.
much better about this. And when I saw the Phantom Menace teaser trailer back in '98, when I first heard those iconic sounds of the blasters,
Yes.
it brought me right back into the Star Wars world.
Okay.
So in The Force Awakens, it made me stop and think, where I shouldn't have been stopping and thinking about these laser blasts.
Now, what's interesting about this is I thought Rogue One's tone would be completely different from the Star Wars universe, but seeing all these stormtroopers, seeing the AT-ATs, seeing some familiar shots, I feel like this tone is very similar to the Star Wars films.
Well, I think this is the buffer teaser.
Okay.
That pulls you in, and then once
It's like-
everyone is in, it's like, okay, now we're going to give you the real teaser of the tone of the film.
Okay. Because, I mean, the Force Awakens, of course, everyone saw it. And so, yeah, I could see how that would work. They want to connect this movie to that to make sure that people go see this movie.
And they've been working on this trailer for a long time because they were really, really concerned about the tone. If it's too dark, will it turn fans off?
Right.
And if it's too light, will the fans who are waiting for this film going, hey, we want to see a darker Star Wars film.
Right.
So I think this really bridges the gap nicely, because in an upcoming shot, we see that High Admiral walking on the shore and see all these dead troopers floating around him.
Yeah.
That's eerie.
Mm-hmm.
That's very, very eerie.
Very eerie.
Now, what I love in this shot that we're looking at right now on our screen, we have this big shuttle, and it's just being destroyed by.
Is that what that is?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sure by the rebels.
Right.
But look at this palm tree planet.
I know. Palm tree planet.
The palm tree planet. Now, we've never seen a palm tree planet. Kashyyyk had trees.
But not palm trees.
Yeah, they were more winding.
Yeah.
So look at this. I love that.
Yeah, that's super cool.
That's going to be my desktop.
Palm trees, and then, of course, we see the AT-ATs.
Yeah.
Which are
well,
shooting.
Hold on. You're getting too far ahead of ourselves.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Now, look at this shot here. This next shot has this dark cloaked figure, and he's kneeling before like a tube of light.
Mm-hmm.
And on each side is a royal guard.
Royal guard.
Which means the emperor is not too far.
Right. Now, could that figure be the emperor? Because it looks kind of hunched to me.
Well, he's kneeling down.
Is he kneeling? No, he
Yeah.
was walking, wasn't he? He was walking away?
He was walking up to this pillar shaft.
Okay, let's watch.
And then he kneels down. See? Well, okay.
No, I think he's going down some stairs. Like Ahsoka.
No. He's just kneeling down. He's not walking up to the pillar. He's just kneeling down.
Okay.
But
looks like he's walking.
Let's get people on Periscope. Oh, Crimson Empire.
What's that?
Oh, that's the Dark Horse Star Wars comic that focused on the royal guards.
Okay.
Hence Crimson Empire.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh,
I would
fun.
love to see more of those characters.
Someone says it's a Bacta tank.
Yeah, it looked like a bacta tank,
Mental
but it
madness.
looked like it was a little too big to be a bacta tank.
Yeah, it did. Also, I've heard carbonite chamber, but I doubt it's that. But
No,
to me,
it
I
looks-
thought that was the Emperor.
It looks like some kind of an altar.
Right, but the guy.
Oh,
The
you know what?
cloaked man.
Yeah, it could be a figure we don't even know yet.
Okay. But some people were saying it was Darth Vader, and I don't think it is.
No, look at the shape of his helmet,
Yeah.
or his hood. That's a hood.
That's a hood. That's not a
hood.
helmet.
No.
Yeah.
So for me personally, I'm gonna rule out the fact that that's Vader.
And now Mental Madness, who I believe is Christopher, he says that there's a bacta tank somewhere. What shot is that?
I didn't see a bacta tank. Maybe he's referring to this shot here. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Chad says definitely not Vader.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe Mads Mikkelsen's character.
Says Michael.
Yeah, could be. We don't know.
Okay.
And then look at this next shot. We have Forrest Whitaker. We have some more characters, and then we have this AT-AT battle. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness!
So amazing.
Now-
That's one of the coolest shots.
Yeah,
With the palm trees on the palm tree
on the Palm
planet.
Tree planet. Now, when I see this, I don't know about you, but my mind went to Star Wars Land at Disneyland.
Okay.
Could you imagine seeing these AT-ATs just looming everywhere?
That would be awesome.
And plus, we already have the palm trees.
Yeah. Yeah, we do.
So when I saw that, I immediately thought that's got to be something set up.
Yeah.
It might be a little menacing for kids, but you know what? The kids can go to Looney Tune Town.
Yeah, Toontown.
Toontown, yes.
Toontown.
Yeah, let them go there. Give us these 1-to-1 scale AT-ATs.
Oh, they're so cool. So cool. All right. Now, as this is all going on, we get Forrest Whitaker saying,
"What will you do when they catch you? What will you do if they break you? If you continue to fight, what will you become?"
I love this theme.
yes. And then, of course, the last shot, which took me 2 times watching through to see it, is you see Jyn in Imperial TIE fighter armor.
Yeah, you see the cog patch on her sleeve.
Mhm.
But let's talk about this theme here, because I think if you really want to measure a person,
Okay.
get them down to their darkest hour and see
Okay.
what they're gonna do.
Oh.
Like Luke in Return of the Jedi, his darkest moment came when he was facing the Emperor and he threw away his lightsaber.
Mm-hmm.
That was his darkest moment
And he chose to.
because he was teetering on the dark side of the Force
Yeah.
there, and as soon as he threw the lightsaber away, that tipped the balance to the light side of the Force.
Mm.
So I love this theme, and I think he's speaking to Jyn.
Mm.
You know, you were once on the Empire. Now this is just speculation, of course, and now you're kind of teetering over here to the Rebellion. When it comes down to it, if you're found, if you're captured, and you're tortured, that moment will define you as a character,
Yeah.
define you as a person.
Oh. Okay.
So when I heard that, I just got really, really excited because I think it's a good theme.
It's a good journey, like a character.
It's a good theme for people to really think about. What would
Okay.
you do in your darkest moment?
Awesome.
So love that. And I love this last shot of her. She's got this alabaster white skin up against the dark
black
Imperial
armor.
armor in this location she's in.
Yeah.
And then we end on the graphic Rogue One, a Star Wars story.
Excellent.
December in real 3D.
Yay! I know. Chili, so exciting. Wow.
It is.
Oh, and then of course we end with the Force with the themes.
Oh, right. Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you end with the Force theme intermingled with the Vader theme. So I don't think Vader makes an appearance physically in this trailer, but he certainly made an appearance musically. And
Right.
I just thought that was amazing. I don't think we'll hear that theme. Well, I don't think we'll hear those themes like that in the movie, but I think that was a way, once again, to bring people in to watch it.
Yeah.
It does what a trailer should.
But now, do you think fans will be disappointed when we don't hear the iconic Star Wars themes?
Well, we'll see. I'm so interested to see how they will do the music. And Alexander Desplat, I'm anxious to see what he will do.
Yeah, yeah. I want him to pull themes because he
Mhm.
needs to tie it together.
Yeah. But once again, if the tone is going to be very different, I don't know. It depends on the tone of the film.
But it's still a Star Wars film.
It is.
So he has got to use some of those themes.
I guess like Harry Potter, if the Harry Potter movies totally went away from those themes, those original themes that John Williams composed, I wouldn't have liked them so much, I think. So yeah.
And when we see Darth Vader, we've got to hear that original Vader phrase, not the Imperial March. Got to keep away from that.
Oh, right, because that hasn't been developed yet.
Right, to the original Vader phrase.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't mind if you took that and rogued them up a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. Ooh, yeah. That'll be fun.
So, yeah, this is very, very exciting. 1 minute and 41 seconds, and the internet is ablaze.
It is. And everyone has to go, which is fine because we have to go too.
And with that, we return you to episode 116 of Skywalking Through Neverland, already in progress.
Week, of course. And we also have things we want to share.
Things we want to share. Things we want to share. Things we want to share.
Well, I want to share that we attended the DCA Food and Wine Festival. I was so excited that this is reopened at Disney's California Adventure, and it's going through the month of April, Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays in the month of April. And so what it really is that we have basically some booths set up in the middle of DCA, and each of them has about 3 different items you can get. So you can get kind of a main course, a side dish, and a dessert. And you also have celebrity chefs. There are certain events that you can just watch chefs make different foods and describe how they do them, just like, the Cooking Channel. But then there's also some purchasing events, like you can purchase celebrity chef demonstrations and things. Now, we're not that into food, so we did not purchase any of those. However, we did go and we went and we tried some of the food and we tried some of the beer and some of the wine. So what we have, let's see. So basically it's kind of food and wine from California is what they're celebrating here.
That was the theme?
That was the theme.
Get that.
Yeah, so you have these 6 different booths that are kind of right down the middle. Like if you go on Buena Vista Street and keep walking down toward Cars Land, the booths are all set up there. And you have LA Style booth, you have Gold Rush, you have The Farm, you have Wine Country, you have Viva Fresca, and By the Bay.
Now, what about this really excited you? Because I know you were talking about this for a long time.
Well, I love wine tasting. And to me, it's kind of it's just like a form of wine tasting to me. So at each of these different booths, you can also get wine pairings. And of course, you have to pay, per what you get. So I just like it. It exposes you to new things.
All right, new things are good.
Yeah. And if you're an annual pass holder, there's some nice perks. At the Blue Sky Cellar, you can go in there and get a free button, which I should show you guys.
Got a lot of free buttons.
Here.
We kept going back and grabbing them.
Yeah. So we might use them.
Oh, they're right here.
Oh. So only annual pass holders can go to the Blue Sky Cellar, and you show them your annual pass, and they scan it in, and you get a free button, 2.25 inch. And it's really nice design here. I think there's a new button every week, so very exciting.
Next time we have a Skywalker meetup, we'll have to give these away as prizes because I did the whole misdirection thing. Hey, look over there and grab 2 more.
Yeah, it's true. And we also get a recipe card, which is cute. This one is fried baby artichokes, and I think there will be new recipe cards every week. And once again, this is going through April, every weekend in April, Friday through Sunday.
Someone just asked if we did meetups. Oh, we do lots of meetups.
We do. In fact, if you head to our Facebook page, Skywalking Through Neverland, and click on events, you'll see meetup coming up at Walt Disney World. After that, we haven't any meetups planned yet for Disneyland, but if you're going to be in town, let us know. At least a week, like about a week in advance, and we can try to plan to meet
Usually
you.
plan them around film releases or birthdays.
Yeah.
So watch on our Skywalking Through Neverland page or listen to the show, and we always tell people well in advance when and where we're going to meet.
Yes.
So now while we're on the subject, do you want to tell people about our next meetup just next weekend?
Yes, I will. We have a Skywalking Through Neverland and Fangirls Going Rogue listener meetup on Sunday, April 17th. And that's from 2 to 3 p.m. at Jacques Lindsay's Hangar Bar in Disney Springs at Walt Disney World. So we're very excited about that. And we want to meet you guys. We're going to bring some swag. We're going to bring some buttons. And we're all going to meet up. And Trisha Barr is going to be there too. So, but it'll be a really fun meetup.
Well, Chick Fant will be there.
Yes.
I think Matt Clifton said he was going to be there.
Mm-hmm. Maybe Kevin Rader
he was trying to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
well, there's a bunch who will be there.
The Mandervillians. Yes, I will be there to Chick Fant.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
All right, good deal.
And also from Russell Flores.
Oh, yeah.
My parents.
And we'll be there too.
Yeah, we'll be there too. Yay, so it's a great way to meet Skywalkers. We're going to try to take over that back patio of Jock Lindsay's. This
is the Indiana Jones themed restaurant.
Yes, which we wanted to check out anyway, so we're super excited.
I'm not sure why they're calling it Jocks. Let's call it Indies.
Indies, yeah.
Yeah, come on.
Well,
there's
the whole story behind it.
I know, but 99% of the people who walk in there, they'll never know that backstory.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's just me. All right, so what else do you want to share this week?
Well, I want to share that we just signed up this morning for the Superheroes Half Marathon, the Doctor Strange 10K. So we didn't actually sign up for the half marathon this time. We're kind of saving a little money and just doing the Doctor Strange 10K because, for one thing, it's a new theme.
Yes.
So we have to try the new things, and then we don't want to get up 2 mornings in a row really early.
No, not at all. Not at all.
So we're going to take it easy for the Star Wars, or for the Superheroes Half Marathon this year. I'm excited.
And you were saying that this particular race sold out immediately.
Well, this morning in particular was the AP signups. So it was the early registration signups. So they only release like a certain percentage of the tickets for the early signups. If we weren't to get in this morning, we would have been able to do it next week. However, since it was available and since I was on the dot of 9 a.m. Pacific, we got our 10K registrations.
Mrs. Reb W asked, who puts that on?
The Run Disney.
The Run Disney. So it'll be held over there at Disneyland.
Yes. And it's run by Disney, Run Disney. We've actually spoken with some Run Disney representatives before.
And I just can't wait for the whole Doctor Strange theme. But for this Star Wars marathon coming up,
the Dark Side Challenge.
Who are we going to cosplay as?
Crimson Jack.
Crimson Jack.
You are.
And Jackson.
Yeah, and Jackson the bunny, the game bunny.
We're going to represent classic Marvel Star Wars comics.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome.
So we spent the day yesterday making our costumes, which is how I got this boo-boo.
Yeah.
Ouch. Glue guns and flesh, not a good mixture.
Yeah.
Not at all. So, anything else?
Yeah, I wanted to mention that while I was checking out the Food and Wine Festival for the very first time, I was by myself. You weren't able to make it, but luckily I ran into the Allisons. So Tommy, Lena, and Chris Allison, who Tommy does the Diz Geek podcast, so does Chris, and Tommy also does the Cruise Dudes podcast. So it was really fun to run into them, so I got to eat and drink with them. And Jeff Long was also in town with his girlfriend Tesh and his daughter Jamie. So we were super excited to meet up with them.
Do you know how Jeff got here to Disneyland?
He drove?
He won a trip.
Oh, because he wins everything.
He wins everything. He didn't really win a trip, but if I were to be a betting man, I would bet that he won the trip to Disneyland.
I know. It's so funny.
That Jeff Long.
Yes.
One of our good friends. So, Jeff, love you, buddy.
So, now, what are some things you want to share?
Well, some good with the bad.
Okay.
The good, we saw Jungle Book.
Yay! Oh my goodness.
Yeah, we can't say too much about it, but what we can say is it's awesome.
Yes.
It's really, really good. And this is one of the movies I thought, if we see it, we see it. We don't.
But we were blown away.
Yeah, Jon Favreau, he was really one of the elements that he was the reason why I wanted to see this.
Mm-hmm.
because did you ever see Zathura?
Who?
Zathura, that was his first film.
No.
Great film. And of course, there's Iron Man, and he's just a great director.
And Chef, which we haven't seen yet, but yes, he actually referenced Chef in the press conference I went to.
All right, well, Jungle Book is fantastic. It has a great crossover from the animated film to the live action film, and everything is just perfect. And the effects, perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when we saw the preview at D23 Expo, I thought, talking animals.
Yeah, we weren't sure if we were going to be comfortable watching that, but he actually uses that. They actually use it to their advantage, and there's some really funny moments because of those talking animals.
Those animals, they look so real.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I really wanted to pet
Bagheera.
Yeah. Very. It's once again a great film, not to be missed. And on our next episode, we'll go into more detail.
Yeah. Nice.
But the little boy was good, and Mrs. Rep W says she met Baloo at Animal Kingdom. And I was kind of worried about Bill Murray doing Baloo, because I thought, it's going to sound like Peter Venkman.
Mm-hmm.
But no, he does it so well that you forget it's Bill Murray. And that's one of the greatest things you can say about an actor taking on a beloved role.
Yes.
Like, I'm not going to see Baloo, I'm just going to hear Bill Murray. But no, not at all.
Yeah, and then what they did with the music was really interesting. If you're very familiar with the soundtrack to the original Jungle Book, it actually begins with that actual soundtrack, which I thought was interesting. And then, some of the songs translate to the music, like they sing them, and some, they leave out or do not. But there are fun references in the soundtrack to the songs. So be on the listen for that as you're watching that film.
All right, now, there can be no good without a little sadness.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I'm sure all the Star Wars fans out there know that we just suffered another great loss in the Star Wars universe when Eric Bowersfeld, the voice of Admiral Akbar and Bib Fortuna, he died on April the 3rd at the age of 93 of natural causes at his home in Berkeley, California. And I am so glad that I had met him a year ago at Star Wars Celebration. I'd be so bummed if I hadn't met him. In fact, he was the only one there I was really interested
I remember you talking about him.
in talking to.
Yeah, you were like, you so wanted to talk with him and hopefully record him, which...
Yeah, which we did.
We did.
And we'll play a little bit of the audio in just a second.
But also go to episode 80, I believe,
Yeah, episode
of our
80.
show. Yes.
Yeah, now this was... I wanted to get some kind of a sound bite from him or just talk to him, but his manager kept pushing us away, and we had the recorder going, so you can hear him in the background going, Diawanawunga, and it's a trap.
Oh.
But we just couldn't get anything other than that because of that manager. Whoever the handler. I don't know what his deal was, but I want to talk to that guy.
Yeah.
Tell you this, it's a trap, it's a trap, it's a trap, it's a trap. But it's just a trap, a damn trap, and I'm going to follow the end of it.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much.
You're very, very welcome.
Big fans.
Big man.
Really enjoy your work.
Oh, you do?
Yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
I'll drink to that.
I was a wee youngling.
Now, there's always been a question about why It's a Trap is so popular.
Oh, why? Sorry, he just asked a question. Who was he the voice of Akbar in TFA?
Yes. Eric Bowersfeld was the voice of Admiral Akbar in The Force Awakens.
Wow.
I'm so glad they brought him back for that. And I love Tom Kane's Admiral Akbar, but you need the real Admiral Akbar.
I agree. I'm nodding my head, and then I realize that you guys can't see me.
Now, people always say, why is It's a Trap so popular? Why is that one quote just so big? And I've got a theory, and maybe all of the first generation fans out there, they can back me up or say, no, I don't think so. Because when we saw the trailer for Revenge of the Jedi, we saw Luke, Han, Leia, R2, 3PO, Chewie, Vader, all of our old friends. But then here comes this new character. And he says, it's a trap.
Okay.
So I think that's why it really...
In the trailer?
In the Revenge of the Jedi trailer, which was the teaser trailer, which is why I think this quote really resonated with fans because it was a new character just saying something as short and dramatic as,
"It's a trap!"
Yeah, I think it's how he says it almost. Because as Darth Texas was bringing up, Leia also says it in Empire.
Yeah, but
it's a trap.
right,
Luke.
but hers is kind of buried in the mix.
Yeah,
as
whereas
there's
he
laser
gets a
bolts.
full
he gets
headshot.
a full close up, and you know this new character. It's a trap. It's like, what's going down?
And it's a funny voice.
Now the popularity of Admiral Akbar, he's taking on cult status, and fans at the University of Mississippi, they tried to get Admiral Akbar as their new mascot for Ole Miss, which is their football team.
So they're originally the Ole Miss Rebels?
Yes.
Ah, that's funny.
Yes. So they thought, you know what? If we need to do an update, let's get Admiral Akbar. So all the students got together and did a student vote, and this was back in 2010. But the Lucasfilm stepped in and said, thanks, but Admiral Akbar is out saving the galaxy. Now here's a fun commercial put together by ESPN regarding Admiral Akbar as the new mascot for Ole Miss.
In Oxford, the things we're most known for are football, the square, and Ole Miss.
They say football in the South is not a sport, it's a religion, and that's the exact same for Oxford, Mississippi.
Since 2003, we have not had a mascot on the field. So when the students came to us and said, we want a new mascot, we said, go for it.
We are in need of a new rebel leader. Admiral Akbar is the perfect mascot for Ole Miss.
Those who are not in the know, Admiral Akbar is I guess you would say, squid-like alien who leads the Rebel Alliance in Star Wars to victory.
The catfish-looking creature.
I want Admiral Akbar. That's what we want. Definitely.
No, it wouldn't do this town justice.
He's got lasers. Tell me a mascot that has lasers, dude.
Lucasfilms let us know Akbar won't be available because he's fighting evil forces in another galaxy.
Maybe it was just too perfect, but we'll get our team a pretty sweet mascot.
So it wasn't meant to be, but alas, they got their new mascot, Rebel the Black Bear.
Aw. I guess a little bit easier costume to find.
Yeah. So the legend of Admiral Akbar continues, and we here at Skywalking Through Neverland, well, we miss you, Eric Bowersfeld, and thank you for all you've done for the Star Wars community.
I have a quick question, though.
Okay.
For Bib Fortuna, was he actually in the costume as well? Okay, he just did the voice.
Yeah, the actor in the costume was Michael Carter.
Okay.
And then he did the voice.
They wanna wonder.
So very, very interesting, and I'm so glad he was able to come back for Akbar in The Force Awakens.
How is it possible to power a weapon of that size? They have defensive shields that our ships cannot penetrate.
Skywalking through Neverland.
Be our guest, be our guest. Put our podcast to the test. Gather round the microphone and we will do the rest.
Ever wonder how we as fans ever knew what was going on in fandom before social media? Whose job was it to tell the world about this new movie called Star Wars?
We are very excited to talk with our next guest. Craig Miller was the publicist and director of fan relations for Lucasfilm during the heyday of the 70s and 80s.
Craig recently hosted a panel at WonderCon titled Star Wars and Fandom in the 70s. And just if you're curious, his Facebook banner picture shows him standing in front of the Millennium Falcon at Echo Base. So jealous. Hey, Craig.
Hi.
Hey, thanks for joining us. And I gotta say once again, I'm deeply jealous of this picture of you standing right below the Millennium Falcon at Echo Base.
Well, you just had to be there.
And you were.
That's amazing. Wow.
Yeah. What was it like walking around all those iconic Star Wars sets back then?
Well, it was pretty great. I mean, by then that was on Empire, of course. So Star Wars was a known commodity. I started with Lucasfilm on Star Wars, and so I'd been around all of it for a couple of years by the time I was at Elstree Studios for the shoot. But it's still pretty remarkable. That set in particular was amazing. I mean, it was just so big. at one time, that was the largest existing soundstage.
All right.
And in part of movie magic, it looks even bigger on film because when they were shooting the long shots from the Millennium Falcon towards the, I don't know, they're not blast doors, but the entryway.
Right.
They did what, we didn't have CG back then, but they did a couple of old tricks. One is to have smoke in the on the stage, which makes it less clear. It distorts the image, and your mind goes, it must be further away because I'm not seeing it as clearly. Plus, there were a few kids dressed as rebel pilots.
Oh, wow.
Standing at the far end of the stage. And again, your mind says, well, I know perspective. I know how tall those, adults must be. So that must be way far away. And of course, because they're really, 4 feet tall instead of 6 feet tall, it makes your mind think it's much further away. And that would, that's the way movies used to be made all the time back then.
Wow.
Sarah and I, for our honeymoon, we went over to Elstree Studios and got a personal tour of all these stages, and it was just so remarkable being there 35 years later.
Yeah.
But you were there right at that time. So you know what? Can you take us back and tell us about yourself and how you started at Lucasfilm?
Well, I grew up I was a comics fan. I was a science fiction fan. I was involved with I grew up in LA, and I was involved with the local science fiction community and the conventions and stuff. And through that, I happened to meet Charlie Lippincott, who was, his title was Vice President, Publicity, Advertising, Promotions, and Merchandising, or something like that, for Star Wars Corporation. Charlie was essentially the guy in charge of everything that wasn't actually making the movie on Star Wars. And I got to know Charlie, and I helped him with some advice and stuff on getting involved with Fandom on Star Wars. And eventually, he hired me. I was literally just out of college. And he hired me to work at Lucasfilm on Star Wars. In part because, we had met, he'd gotten to know me, and I had some of the skills he needed, and because they didn't really have the money to pay for lots of highly experienced people. So anyway, I started at Lucasfilm under Charlie as a publicist, and one of my specific tasks was to create and oversee the official Star Wars fan club.
Oh.
And, I did general publicity, writing press releases and dealing with press and that sort of thing. Eventually, I wrote the press kit for The Empire Strikes Back. I designed some things. I did a lot of convention appearances. I oversaw all of the fan mail processing. I hired a staff to deal with all of the fan mail we got in, and wrote mostly we had form letters that went out to people who would ask, because a lot of people asked the same questions or asked for the same things. Anything that was, for Mark Hamill, went to Mark Hamill to deal with however he wanted to deal with it. Stuff that was just to Lucasfilm or to Star Wars or something like that, we processed and dealt with in-house.
Well, I'm sure you had seen many letters that I had written into the Star Wars fan club when I was a kid.
Well, I didn't open all the letters. I had a staff of people to do that. There were far too many. But one thing is, if people wrote in to David Prowse or James Earl Jones, their fan mail went to them. If they wrote to Darth Vader, and those were usually little kids, our team of fan mail processors did that.
Oh.
And unlike most companies, we did that all in-house. We interviewed a bunch of fan mail processing houses, and we just didn't like the attitude that the people had. They didn't think highly of the people they were responding to.
Mm-hmm.
It just wasn't the right, we wanted to be grateful for our fans and be friendly towards our fans, not just, that ought to hold the little bastards kind of thing. But I mean, that was sort of the attitude you got. They really didn't care, and we did. So we decided it would be better to bring it all in-house. But anyway, if they wrote to Darth Vader and they wanted a photo, we had 8x10 photos of Darth Vader, and anyone that went out was autographed by Darth Vader, and it was my signature, my Darth Vader signature that went out on all of those photos between 1977 and 1980.
Richard, did you ask Darth Vader for a picture?
Yes, but now everything's becoming so crystal clear. The autograph I thought was handwritten by the big black glove of Darth Vader was written by you. With the big D that circled the Darth.
That's right.
Wow, mind blown. Wow. I always made it a point to write to all of the actors at their birthdays just to say, hey, happy birthday. And
well, if you wrote to the actors, it went to them. If you wrote to the character, well, the character doesn't actually exist. So,
now, do you happen to have any of these letters from way back when? Do you happen to have saved?
No, I don't. I mean, I wrote them, but then they were printed and they were sent out. And a lot of them had my signature on them, and some of them just said, Lucasfilm or the Star Wars Corporation or whatever. But I don't have copies of them anymore.
Do you know what the most commonly questions asked of, like, say, Luke Skywalker?
No, I it's been a long time.
Yeah.
But there were the question, the ones that were again to the actors we didn't deal with.
Right.
But there were, could you send me a photo? How do I get a job? Can you give me a free thing?
Yeah.
And then there were questions that the letters were reasonable, but they weren't form letters, and then we would actually respond to those.
Wow.
But that was one aspect of what I did. I was producer for Lucasfilm on a number of things, like we put R2-D2 and C-3PO on Sesame Street.
Welcome to Sesame Street.
So that's where we are, Sesame Street. But why did you bring me here? Oh, you and your secret missions.
You understood what he just said?
Oh, yes, indeed, ma'am. He just said he's on one of his tiresome secret missions. He has an important message to deliver to someone here on Sesame Street.
I was producer for Lucasfilm on that, and we sent one guy who actually knows, radio control and the mechanics and stuff, and he was the main operator on R2. But back then, it required two people to operate him, so I doubled also by operating R2's head on Sesame Street and a bunch of commercials and other things we did.
Yeah, you were the R2 operator for the Underoos commercial, right?
Yes, I was.
In the not-so-distant future on a planet called Earth, it's Underoos.
Star Wars Boba Fett is here. That means Darth Vader's always near. C-3PO is lots of style. And R2-D2 just makes me smile. Star Wars Underoos are here, yeah! Something out of sight in underwear.
Don't be so ridiculous, R2. Underoos are for Earthlings.
Love those commercials.
That's a resume builder there.
It is. It's a very funny commercial now. At the time, I tell you, it really felt like we had all these little kids in their underwear. Yeah. We were not making the commercial. They were our licensee. They were making the commercial. They wanted the characters on their underwear in the commercial. So we were there making sure the characters were used appropriately. So they were shooting here in LA. They brought out a choreographer from New York who was, choreographing these little kids in their underwear, and they're doing like Bob Fosse hip thrusts and stuff.
Whoa.
It was just kind of odd. Later that same year, one of the two girls in the commercial kissed Elliot in E.T. She's the little girl in the classroom who kisses Elliot.
Oh, that's wild.
Those were her first two acting jobs, the Underoos commercial and E.T.
Wow, not
Wow,
bad.
yeah.
There are actors who would kill for those kind of roles.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Do you ever feel nostalgic when you go into a store nowadays and they're selling Underoos for adults in the same packaging?
No, I can't say. Actually, I didn't know they were selling them for. I knew they were making them again. I didn't know they were doing them for adults.
Yeah, Hot Topic sells them.
I'm not saying that I have a couple of sets. I'm not saying that at all. But how can you resist?
I think I could. Anyway, so my job at Lucasfilm was kind of a broad gamut of stuff that broadly fit under publicity and promotions, and I worked with our licensing people and our publishing people on to a degree, and that sort of thing. So, I mean, I did that, and I was there from 1977 through. I left a week after we opened The Empire Strikes Back.
Oh, okay.
Oh, really?
Why did you end up leaving?
Well, there were a few reasons. The main one, was the company was going to be moving up to Northern California. George was closing up the LA office, and I really didn't want to relocate. Plus, George had told me, and this became obviously public knowledge fairly quickly, but I was doing an interview with him in the mixing room for Empire Strikes Back, and he said that he had decided to finish Empire, do the film that would become Return of the Jedi. It didn't have a title yet at that point, but he was going to stop making movies then. And I thought, okay, we're only going to make one more movie. If I move up to Northern California, there's no other work is for a movie publicity guy up there. I just end up having to move back. So I decided I really didn't want to do that. So when I left Lucasfilm, it was a pretty good point. We had two pretty successful movies. I became an independent consultant on publicity and licensing. And I was immediately hired by Warner Brothers as a consultant on the Superman movies, Altered States, Excalibur, a few other movies. Over the next 8 or 10 years, I represented Warner Brothers, Disney on Splash, and My Science Project, Real Genius, and
nice.
Black Cauldron, other movies there. I worked with Jim Henson on The Dark Crystal and Muppets Take Manhattan, Universal, a lot of different movies at a lot of different companies. And I did that for about 10 years. And then I moved into writing and started working in animation, writing for the Real Ghostbusters animated series.
Awesome series. Loved it.
And I did 3 episodes the first season of Ghostbusters, and then I moved to a show called The Bionic Six. I did 10 episodes of, and since then I've been writing primarily animation. These days I mostly develop shows for companies. They'll have a movie or a comic book or a novel or a toy, and they want to make it a TV series. And so I figure out how to adapt it into a TV series, and then if they actually go into production, I usually end up supervising the writing on those shows.
Wow, you really have stayed busy.
Yeah, well, I work all over the world. I just did 2 shows for a new cable channel in the Middle East, a web series for an Italian toy company. We literally this morning had the final meeting on some development work. I just finished up on a new primetime animated series, and, different stuff for different companies, mostly from this chair I'm sitting in, but
That's convenient. Have you ever thought about re-entering the Star Wars world?
Well, I would if someone came and asked me to do something. No one seems interested in getting me back involved, but they did invite me to the world premiere for The Force Awakens, which was great.
Down in Hollywood?
Yeah.
Oh, then we probably saw you down there.
That's amazing.
You know what?
Yay.
I want to go back to something you had just mentioned about working at Lucasfilm and there only being one more Star Wars film after Empire, so you didn't want to go up there for one film. I had heard that interview you did with George Lucas on your Facebook page, and I'm so glad you recorded that and posted it, so thank you very much for that. But then George Lucas said there were going to be 12 Star Wars films. Then he said, no, maybe just 9. We'll leave it at 9.
At one point, the series films was going to be 12. Yeah, it got cut down to 9 because the other 3 films were essentially odd movies that didn't really have anything to do with the saga. And I decided to not deal with those at all, just to deal with the saga and to tell the story. Now, the middle saga deals with Luke Skywalker, and the first part deals with the young Ben Kenobi, Luke's father, Darth Vader, and the Clone Wars. What does the third trilogy deal with? Well, it deals with the character that survives 3. It's his adventures.
The thing I posted, it's a matter of finding they're all cassette tapes, finding them and them still being good enough quality to turn into digital files to post. And that's actually the second part of an interview I did with George. And when I did that interview was in the same time when he told me, although not part of the interview, that he wasn't going to do the additional films. Originally, George had said there were going to be 12 films.
Right.
Then later, there were going to be 9 films. And no, I never said... George is a very talented man, but he does have a tendency to kind of rewrite history. And he insisted that there were always only going to be 9. And at one point said, well, maybe the other 3 were like the Indiana Jones movies. But when the Indiana Jones movies were certainly never planned, and originally were never planned to be more than 1, even when he first came up with them. But no, he just changed his mind about 12, because they picked the number 12 because that was typically how many chapters an old-time movie serial had.
All right.
Oh.
Yeah, when people got on him about all of this, I don't know why he just didn't say, all right, I said 12, then I said 9, we're going to leave it at 6 and be happy with that.
Well, I mean, it was going to be 3 when he decided to only do, Star Wars, Empire, and Jedi, because he was just not going to make it the other 2 trilogies that he was still admitting to. Then he decided to come back and do the first trilogy, and once he made and it's not clear if he was going to go on to make the 3rd trilogy or not, but once the deal was made with Disney, that was certainly going to happen.
Right. Now, I'm wondering what some of the big misconceptions were about the early days of Star Wars regarding who said what or how things were handled or not handled. Because I know on Charles Lippincot's Facebook page, he'll constantly say, no, this was never said, that was never said. What's your take on the early days?
Well, especially with the coming of social media, everyone's an expert. Even some of the books that have been published, the official books, have a lot of errors in them. There's stuff in the Rinsler books that's just not accurate. There's stuff in lots of the books that aren't accurate. And, and it's hard to know what. But I hear from people, or I see on the internet, on Facebook and other places all the time, people who have no real involvement with the movies. I mean, they're just fans. I mean, and that's perfectly fine, but it's not like they were there making statements about, oh, this happened and this is what was meant and this is who did what. And it's like, well, I was there and that's not what happened. I mean, I try not to get into those arguments. I mostly let that stuff go. because you could be at it all day and you're never going to convince people whose, self-worth is based on them telling other people the real, true story they've made up in their minds. And, it's not just Star Wars fans, but it's a lot of people on a lot of topics. And it gets kind of exacerbated on the internet because it's so easy to voice your opinion in front of thousands of people.
Right.
So there's a lot of misinformation in what should be accurate places to get it, like, published works with the official Lucasfilm blessing. And then there's plenty of people just come up with stuff. So it would be impossible to keep up with all the misinformation. And since you read Charlie Lippincott's Facebook page, you see people all the time posting things, and Charlie or I or someone else who was there go, well, no, it was actually this.
Yeah, just when you thought you knew everything about the making of Star Wars and Empire, and then all this stuff comes around, and now you don't know what's going on.
Wow.
So now it's like people just pull different facts together and make their own conclusion.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing is, in one sense, it's, you don't know, you weren't there. There's only so much information. It's not like today where the companies are recording everything on video and posting it online as part of the marketing of the film. And, you can ask people directly everything. It just wasn't done like that back then. And so all you've got is, at this point on Star Wars, 40-year-old stories that have been told 100 times and 50 of those times by people who heard it from someone who heard it from someone who heard it. And, it just changes.
It's like a game of telephone, basically.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't know that there's anything like so completely wrong, but there's a lot of stuff out there that just is not quite accurate.
Right. Well, since you were there for promoting Star Wars and Empire, do you have any favorite memories or stories you can tell us?
One of the things I did that was a lot of fun, I have some of this online on my Facebook page, is for Empire Strikes Back, I put together this publicity event where I wrote and produced 5 30 to 60 second recordings of 5 of the characters: Luke Skywalker, C-3PO, Princess Leia, Han Solo, and Darth Vader, talking about the upcoming Empire Strikes Back in character.
Hello, I am C-3PO, and this is the first of a series of messages on the special Star Wars telephone line.
Till I ran into Ben Kenobi and Luke Skywalker, I had myself a pretty good little operation. They wanted a ride to Alderaan, and they're willing to pay enough so I didn't have to ask any questions. Now I'm in the middle of a rebellion.
The destruction of the Death Star was a major victory for the rebellion. But our battle isn't over yet. Darth Vader and the evil forces of the Emperor keep a stranglehold over the galaxy.
Tatooine was just a big ball of dust until R2 and 3PO showed up. But since then, my life hasn't been the same. From a moisture farmer on a remote desert planet to a leader of the rebellion fighting for freedom throughout the galaxy.
They managed to rescue the princess and to destroy the Death Star. But this time, the rebels won't be so lucky. See it as the Empire Strikes Back.
The Empire Strikes Back comes to a theater near you on May the 21st, 1980.
Call next month for new message.
And 4 of them we recorded when the actors were on at the studio here in LA, looping their dialogue. So we would record them. They're standing in a recording studio, so that made it very easy to have them record it and get what we needed. Harrison had already done his looping, so I took a sound guy up to Harrison's house and we recorded him doing his in his living room.
Now let's take a quick break from our discussion with Lucasfilm publicist and director of fan relations from back in the 70s and 80s and hear about another great Disney podcast and take a trip back with Kenner when Star Wars was only one movie.
If you love all things Disney, then you're a D-head.
And if you're a D-head, this is the show for you. Each and every week, Disney Blue presents Disney On Demand, your free, dedicated Disney podcast hosted by Jonathan Johnson. Every week, Disney Blue relives all the Disney magic, movies, and memories. Every week, you'll hear our celebrity guests who make the magic, your favorite Disney actors, writers, directors, and characters. The best of classic Disney and breaking news on Disney's latest films, television shows, and theme parks. So put on your ears and give it a little bibbidi-bobbidi-boo. Disney Blues Disney On Demand is on the air, and it's free. Just go to DizRadio.com. That's DIZRadio.com. See you real soon.
Boba Fett, Darth Vader, Chewbacca, and 18 other action figures, all from Kenner Star Wars, The Empire Strikes Back collection, each sold separately. At participating stores, you can check specially marked packages for details on how to get the secret figure. New Boss, Alien Bounty Hunter, not available in stores yet, free with 4 proofs of purchase from any of the Empire Strikes Back action figures. Offer expires May 31st, 1980. Darth Vader, Chewbacca, Boba Fett, and other action figures, each sold separately. From Kenner Star Wars, The Empire Strikes Back collection.
And now let's go back to Craig Miller as he tells us more about the famous Empire Strikes Back phone messages and the AT&T meltdown.
But then there was an 800 number that you could call. It was 800-521-1980. 521, May 21st, the day Empire opens. And for 5 months before the film came out, you called the number and you got a recording of one of the characters telling you about, why what was going to be happening and why you had to see Empire Strikes Back. And the only promotion we did was in announcing it at comic book convention, or not but any type of conventions we did promotions at.
I saw it in Starlog magazine, your ad.
Right, and Starlog ran like a 2-paragraph little sidebar announcing it. Well, back then, you did in the phone lines, everything was AT&T, and the phone lines were mechanical. If you called a number, it was a mechanical switching device that connected your call to the phone you were trying to reach on the other end. So prefixes were in specific geographic areas. It wasn't like you could just assign it anywhere. So we wanted 521 as the prefix on our number. That meant it had to be in Colorado, because that's where that prefix was geographically located on the switching equipment. So we set up with a local company that handled that kind of stuff, a little phone room. So if you called the number, you got connected to the tape of the moment. Well, based on that small amount of publicity, we literally shut down the 800 number system for the entire state of Colorado.
Whoa.
So many fans were calling, they could not process the number of calls. They couldn't give out, not only couldn't they answer that many, they couldn't give out that, there were more calls than they could give out busy signals or anything else. And anyone with an 800 number in Colorado was not getting their calls because the switching equipment couldn't process it.
Whoops.
So AT&T made us add more phone lines, not a problem. Cease all advertising, which is easy because we had done none, and apologize. So because they didn't want to take the blame for their not being able to do it. It was our fault.
Right.
Of course.
And we were very happy to send out press releases all over the world explaining how dedicated Star Wars fans were, that without any advertising, we had swamped the phone lines with people wanting to know about The Empire Strikes Back. So it worked out great. And a few years ago, I found a cassette tape I had with the original number messages as they played.
Wow.
And I posted that on my Facebook page, and it was all over the internet. And Lucasfilm someone at Lucasfilm called me because they didn't have any copies of these messages, and could I give them to them? Which, of course, in one sense, technically they're theirs because they paid for them, and they were already all over the internet, so they could certainly just get copies. But yeah, sure, they could have copies. Last year, we found the outtakes of the recording session, well, 3 of the recording sessions.
Okay, this is take 1.
The destruction of the Death Star was a major victory for the rebellion, but our battle isn't over yet. Darth Vader and the evil forces of the Emperor still keep a strong... Sorry. Take 2. This is going to be fun.
Take 2.
Look what you give me to say. It's always like this. Me and Tony Daniels.
They managed... repeating. They managed to rescue the princess. Nope.
Tatooine was just a big ball of dust until R2 and 3PO showed up. But since then, my life hasn't been the same. From a moisture farmer on a remote desert planet to a leader of the rebellion fighting for freedom? For plutonium throughout the galaxy. Pick it up. We can pick it right up.
Wow.
And so we got those digitized, and I put those up on my Facebook page a few months ago. That was a lot of fun and very memorable. But we did all kinds of things promoting Star Wars in ways. We were the first people to take a movie to comic book or science fiction conventions to promote it, to get the fans involved, to get their response, and to get them spreading the word. Because, we didn't have a big budget for advertising Star Wars. And back then, it's hard to imagine today where every other movie is science fiction or a comic book movie. Back in 1977, science fiction was relegated to, the bottom of the barrel for genres. Most of the science fiction coming out was more horror movie than science fiction, was more... cheap special effects, was thought of as for little kids.
Very Roger Corman.
Yeah, I mean, that sort of thing. The last serious science fiction movies were 2001, which was 9 years earlier, in 1968. Silent Running. They were just not generally thought of as what you wanted. So we had to convince people that it was a good movie, even though it was science fiction.
Right.
And so getting everyone so excited about it in advance was, something we worked hard to do, because most movies didn't start being promoted a year in advance back then or today. I mean, today, some of the big science fiction and comic book movies will start the promotions during
pre-production.
Yeah. But, now the internet makes it much, much easier. We didn't have the internet back then. We had to invent new ways to get people to know about and want to see the movie.
Right. Well, I find it so interesting that, you used fans at fan conventions to promote, and, that's all they do now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Word of mouth is just huge, which is why they'll have a trailer a year or two ahead of the movie just so fans can start buzzing about it. And so, how was it like promoting a movie back then without social media?
It was difficult because we didn't, you couldn't just put it online and everyone would see it. You had to, go to places people were. You had to, we went to the science fiction and comic book conventions. We sent stuff to specialty bookstores, comic book shops, science fiction shops, to put up. We did deals with Marvel Comics to get the comics coming out before the movie came out. The novelization came out before the movie came out. All kinds of things we were doing to try and get people interested early on, so they would hear about it. We were the fans were great, because everyone saw the quality that we were bringing to it and got excited about it. We gave out T-shirts and May the Force Be With You buttons and all that kind of thing, so people would wear them and help promote the movie. It was I'm not saying woe is us. It was so terrible. We did what we had to do. We made things up. We did things a lot of movies had never done before. It's not easy promoting a movie today either. It's just getting the word out is easier. You still have to craft a message in a way that gets people excited so that they want to see the movie. We've all seen stuff promoted online and you're going, really?
Was there anything that was so revolutionary in terms of marketing that you almost didn't want to do it, but then it's like, okay, let's just do it and see what happens, and it was a huge success?
Well, things like the 800 numbers were a huge success. There wasn't, the thing is, you still have to maintain an image, so you don't want to do stuff that's stupid or distasteful or might turn people off. So you have to be careful in what you choose, so that's more a matter of how you craft the message. It's like in 1976, Charlie Lippincott went to the San Diego Comic-Con that was actually the second presentation at a convention. The first one was a few weeks earlier at the WesterCon. The full name is West Coast Science Fantasy Convention, but no one calls it that. It's just WesterCon. It's been going on since the 40s.
Wow.
And that was here in LA, and Charlie did a slideshow at that. And then at Comic-Con, he also did a slideshow, but in order to encourage fans to come see the show and not just go, it's just going to be some crappy science fiction movie, he got Roy Thomas and Howard Chaykin. Roy was writing the Star Wars comic. Howard was doing the art for the initial issues. And so they were announced as doing the presentation, and they did a lot of the talk, and then Charlie did as well. But Roy and Howard were big names, particularly, back then. They were, they're still big names, but they were very active back then. And so that brought in a lot more people than just some guy I've never heard of is doing a presentation on some movie I've never heard of, and that'll probably be terrible.
Oh, that's very smart to cross-promote Star Wars with the comic audience.
Absolutely, and that was the whole thing. A couple of years ago, I went to a panel on transmedia. Transmedia is one of those buzzwords that comes up every now and then, and it really is just it should be telling stories in multiple platforms, on television, in movies, as comic books, as novels, as this, as that. But a lot of times it's much simplified. We've sold a license for this. It isn't really telling the story on all the platforms. It's just having material on all the platforms. And I was not on this panel, I was just in the audience, and someone asked one of the panelists, what's the best transmedia campaign that they've seen? And that panelist said, Star Wars. And all the other panelists agreed. Star Wars was the best transmedia campaign ever. Well, transmedia didn't exist. We were just trying to figure out, how do we get the movie, which is what we were working on, seen by as many people as possible? So we made the effort to get out into all the different areas where people who might be interested in the movie would see it. So comic books, novelization, licensing arrangements for posters and T-shirts and all that kind of stuff. That all is getting the word out and just, distributing the word, getting magazines, an old-fashioned thing you hardly see anymore. But back then, there were, lots and lots of magazines, and we went to all of them we could think of to run articles about this upcoming movie, Star Wars, to get them interested. And then the week before Star Wars opened, Time magazine was scheduled to have Star Wars as its cover story. It ended up not, because Menachem Begin was unexpectedly elected president of Israel in a very surprising victory, and knocked Star Wars off the cover, but they still ran the, 8 or 10 page article with lots of photos and in that issue. And on the corner of the issue was a snipe, say, with a picture of, I think it was an X-Wing. It was a little tiny picture, and it said best movie of the year. So Time Magazine called us the best movie of the year. We opened in 32 theaters a week later with, in most of them, long, long lines, which got us a lot of publicity. And that really helped build interest. People heard about it. The people who came out, people didn't stand in line for movies back then. That was a first. It wasn't like today where, oh, the new Batman movie's coming out, we'll stand in line. The new this movie's coming out, we'll stand in line. The new, Apple, the new iPhone's coming out, we'll stand in line. That was just so new. It got a lot of coverage. For Empire Strikes Back, my route to the Lucasfilm offices took me through Hollywood, past the Egyptian Theater where we were going to be opening Empire. And like 3 days beforehand, some number of days beforehand, as I drove by, I saw 3 or 4 people standing in line. I was going, is that what I think it is? And I stopped and I talked to them. And I gave the woman who was the first in line my card. And I told her that, we thought it was great. And I went on to work and told people at work that this was happening and everyone was excited. And then I got a phone call from her. The manager of the theater didn't want them there. He didn't want these, people loitering on his property and clogging up the street and stuff.
Yeah. Darn that free publicity.
Well, he was not a big thinker.
And that man became Donald Trump.
He had his theater to run, and people standing there make it look bad because there are all these people cluttering up the walkway and stuff like that. So I called him, and he was not going to let them stand there. So I called the theater chain management and identified myself and explained how we really want these people there and to be left alone, and how we were going to have the press out there. And the theater management called the manager of the theater and let him know not to bother those people. The press came out. The photo of this woman and the few people immediately behind her made the wire services, which is what basically was an electronic distribution of publicity to news outlets all over the world. Her photo was picked up and put on around, and because suddenly people were standing in line 3 days early for this movie, and while the theater manager still treated them badly and didn't want them actually standing on theater, he wouldn't make them leave, but they couldn't stand on theater property. All the other merchants on Hollywood Boulevard were like, great. And they were coming out selling them sandwiches and drinks and
opportunity
stuff like that.
Wow. That's really cool. Having been in a line experience ourselves, that's amazing.
After various showings of Star Wars or Empire Strikes Back, did you go to the theaters just to hear what the buzz was?
Oh yeah, I didn't do it on Star Wars, but on Empire in Hollywood, we opened at midnight the night before the official release. So a lot of us went out for the midnight show and worked the line, going up and down, talking to people. We gave out stickers and buttons and stuff. And we were all standing in the back of the theater for the entire midnight showing. Wow. And then stayed through to the first, 10 minutes of the 2:30 a.m. or whatever it was showing. Then I drove to Westwood and they were not doing a midnight screening. They did a first screening at 10 a.m. So around 3:30 or so in the morning, I went to Westwood, talked to the people in line there, and then came back to Westwood for the 10 a.m. screening. after that, I got on a plane and went to Washington, D.C. for our screenings there.
Wow.
And did a presentation at a science fiction convention in Washington that weekend.
And who would think 40 years later, almost 40 years later, we're still doing the same things, but to an extreme extent, and staying there in front of the the
TCL Chinese Theater IMAX.
Yeah. For weeks and weeks, people all over the world are coming all together, and Star Wars is just bringing fans together just as much as it did back then. But now it's just much bigger. And what else?
Well, everyone can share it on social media, which is amazing.
Yeah.
Now, in your opinion, what are the fans like now compared to back when, let's say, the 70s and 80s?
Well, again, they're more interconnected because of social media. They're people talking through, Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. And on Facebook, there are dozens, if not hundreds, of private Star Wars fan pages. I'm on a few of them. And I'm not talking about like my page or Charlie's page.
Like the groups, right?
But groups, on Facebook, and I'm sure there's vast numbers that I'm not aware of. Just people who I happen to know say, "Hey, you want to come see my group?" and that sort of thing. So there's a lot more interconnectivity and people able to reinforce their own interest to it. And of course, back in the 70s, it was sort of even with the popularity of Star Wars, you were still kind of a nerd if you liked science fiction and talked about it too much. Now, science fiction is it. All the nerds became billionaire computer magnates, and
they became the cool kids.
It's like, I've been working in television for almost 30 years now. And back at the beginning, the executives in charge were not into science fiction. They weren't into comic books. And so they really had to be convinced to do something that was a comic book or a science fiction movie or TV show. Today, the people running studios and networks all grew up going to Star Wars and reading comic books. And so now it's all the cool stuff. And that's why we're seeing, the CW is almost entirely, it seems, superheroes and supernatural and vampires. And, the movies are all science fiction or horror or comic book based. And, and everyone's going to them. And some people still say, "Oh, I don't like science fiction," as they go to see Star Wars. But what they mean is, in the back of my mind, liking science fiction isn't cool. But I really do like it because that's why I'm spending time going to these things. Hot Topic is the cool kids store for all the cool kid nerds.
Yeah.
Yeah, and everything they sell is either Star Wars or Harry Potter or superhero based.
Or Doctor Who, or, there's some rock and roll stuff.
And all these
got Disney, too. Yeah.
And all these cool kids are now dressed head to toe in pop culture gear, because that's where the popularity is these days.
Mm-hmm.
And look at all the conventions getting 100,000 or more people going to them.
Yeah. Speaking of which, you just did a panel at WonderCon.
Yeah, a talk. It wasn't a panel in that I was the only one on it. So I've done plenty of panels as well, but that was just a talk. It was basically a slideshow, but done through PowerPoint just because it's easier to project the images that way. But it was a lot of the kind of stuff we talked about here, a little more detail on some different things we did.
You get a lot of the younger fans coming to those kind of panels just to see what it was like back in the day?
Yeah, there was a mixture of people. There were kids there and adults and people who were at the 1976 San Diego Comic Convention presentation.
Wow.
But one woman came up and identified herself as having been in the audience for that.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
That's really
that must be a
cool.
mind trip.
Yeah, well, it was 40 years ago. So we were all a lot younger then. I mean, I was just out of college when we started, so it's not like I'm 90.
Do you still stay in contact with Charlie Lippincott?
Oh, yeah, I'm in contact with Charlie and a few other people from Lucasfilm, old friends. And again, a lot of us are back in contact easily because of the internet. We're all on Facebook and, posting each other's old photos from Star Wars and other movies and that sort of thing. And so it's, it makes the world a much smaller place, the internet.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's just trying to avoid, the people who want to be trolls.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Wow, there's just so much history, and thank you for sharing all of this with us and all of our Skywalker listeners. If people want to reach out to you, where can they find you on social media?
The best place is they can go to my Facebook page. It's a public page, and they can reach me through that.
Okay.
The one thing you have to know is if you are not a friend, a Facebook friend, I might or might not see a private message you message, because Facebook, if you've already friended each other, it just shows up on your messages.
Right.
If you haven't, sometimes it shows up on messages and sometimes it shows up in filtered message pages that you have to go hunt for.
Right.
And the other day I found messages from 3 months ago and
Whoops.
but I'm very happy to talk to people. I'm very happy to have conventions invite me to come and talk. I love doing that.
When's your next convention appearance?
I don't know what program items I'll be doing, but I'll be at Comic-Con in San Diego is the next thing. But they haven't started putting the schedule together. I don't know if they'll have a Star Wars thing for me to do there or not. If they want me to do this show again, but I'm always at Comic-Con. I'm almost always on the program about something.
Awesome.
You were saying earlier that you also go to Kamikazes as well.
Oh yeah, I'll go to Kamikaze as well, but that's later. Kamikaze will be in October, I guess. I also go to Long Beach Comic Con. I go to a lot of the conventions in the Southern California area.
Right on.
And out of states more when they ask me to come. And this slideshow I did, I put together for an event in Spain that brought me over to talk about. They had me do 2 talks, one about animation and one about the history of Star Wars.
Well, I'm sure with all the conventions that Sarah and I have gone to, I'm sure we've crossed paths, but didn't know it. But we'll have to remedy that for next time.
Okay.
All right. Craig Miller, thank you very, very, very much for sharing all of your stories and sharing all the stories with the Skywalkers once again. And we can't tell you how thankful we are for that.
Well, thank you. I'm very happy to talk to you.
What a fantastic discussion with Craig. As soon as he agreed to come on, stories and questions just came pouring right out of me. And I don't think it was more than 3 minutes later, I had a list of like 30 questions prepared. I had to, of course, narrow down.
I love that. Yeah, same thing happens to me when I'm writing a blog post I'm really into. It's like just flows out of you. So we were meant to talk with him.
Yeah, one of the biggest discoveries is that he was the one who wrote and produced those phone recordings back in 1980.
Yeah, now I wanted to ask you during the interview, but I didn't get a chance. Do you remember calling these numbers?
Oh, I sure do.
Okay.
I called every hour on the hour.
Uh-huh.
And guess how many times I got through?
Oh, no.
It rivals the same amount that I was the Rebel spy.
Uh-oh. Big fat zero?
Big fat zero. Because like he was saying, it just broke the phone system.
Oh.
And I know a lot of fans who had called in back in 1980, but I don't know anyone who actually got through.
Oh.
However, luckily now he has had all those recordings just filed away somewhere and released them on his Facebook page and on YouTube. So finally, the circle is now complete.
40-ish years later.
I can move on.
Well, speaking of moving on, how about we move on to the shout-outs?
Nice segue.
Shout-outs. Skywalker shout-outs. Which Skywalkers get props from here in Neverland? Who was tweeted out? Shout out. Who was photobombed? Shout out. Who was shared a post? Shout out.
had the privilege of attending the Star Wars Rebels event with all the cast and crew, and we were able to get out an episode to you Skywalkers the hour after that episode aired to everyone on Wednesday.
Do you recall the movie Broadcast News? When they're trying to get this news package into the VTR player.
Okay.
So when Jack Nicholson, as the news anchor, he's prefacing the news segment. So they've got to get that into the player and press play.
Oh, before he's done?
Before he's done with his build-up to the news piece.
Uh-oh.
So they're running all over the news station. They're doing high dives and shoulder rolls. And finally, they throw it into the player, press play, and timed perfectly.
Wow.
That's kind of how I felt last week when we were putting together this episode. It's like, gotta get it done, gotta get it done.
Gotta get it done, gotta press publish. And we did, and you Skywalkers loved it. So we're so happy to bring this to you, and I just want to bring up a few tweets that really warmed our hearts last week. Of course, all your tweets warmed our hearts, but here are a few. So Jeremy Hunt, he tweeted, "We finished 1:15 tonight. Seriously, knocked it out of the park. You guys continue to bring us some of the best content on the net." Aww. If your family wasn't already Skywalker of the Week a couple weeks ago, you would be Skywalker of the Week again.
He was the very first family to ever get the whole Skywalker of the Week.
It's true. All right, also we got a tweet from Amy Wishman, at Amy Wishman. She tweeted, "This was just what I needed to help process the emotional sucker punch of Star Wars Rebels. I desperately hope. #Ahsoka lives."
And
we
she
do
will.
too. Yes. Also, Joey Pittman tweeted, "Listening to Skywalking Pod episode 115. Great stuff. Now gotta rewatch Rebels finale after work. #NeverLand On Alderaan. #Team Hoojib."
It does take on a whole new meaning after you hear the episode. Having been at that press conference and hearing all of the inner workings and behind the scenes
you have
secrets,
to watch it again.
Then we watched it again, and the episode had a whole new meaning. You just got so much more out of it, especially knowing that the shot is coming up where Ahsoka is walking into the temple. It's like, okay, let me really focus on
into
this.
the fog or into the darkness or into the triangle.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Or what color Ezra's eyes really are.
Yeah.
So if you know that stuff is coming,
You can really
then-
focus on it.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. All right, here's another tweet. Rebel Spy, who is at Starwind 2020. I wonder how many times they've been Rebel Spy. They tweeted, "Your show gets me through the day, even the darkest of days."
Wow.
Aww. So thank you for that.
Hope there's not that many dark days, Rebel Spy.
Yeah, but we're glad we can help.
Yes. I have dark days whenever I ride Star Tours because I'm never the Rebel Spy.
No, and guess who never sits next to you?
Why? Why do this?
Simon Kinberg at the Star Wars Rebels event.
Yeah, we've already gone through this, okay?
Yes, if you heard the story on our last episode, you know that our friend Dave went up to go to the bathroom, and Simon Kinberg asked for his seat, which was right next to Richard.
And I said,
I know. And I said, "Oh, I'm sorry, that's saved." And then I looked up and saw that it was Simon Kinberg, and I was like, "Oh,
yeah.
Uh-oh." So Richard didn't know what to say. Anyway, so we thought this tweet was super funny. Margaret Mays, at Mag Mays, she tweeted, "If I'm ever in the bathroom and someone from Star Wars asks for my seat, you have my permission to give it to them." That made me laugh for about 5 minutes. I thought that was so hilarious. And so, Margaret Mays, you are our Skywalker of the Week.
Margaret Mays, yeah. Margaret Mays, yeah.
So that just goes to show that if you meet us somewhere, or if you say hi to us, or if you tweet about our show, you might be Skywalker of the Week. But if you also make us laugh for 5 minutes, you could be Skywalker of the Week as
All right,
well.
next time we go to a press event, I'm taking Margaret Mays with us.
I know.
Forget Dave, you're out. Margaret, you're in.
Oh, wow. All right. Well, thank you for that. We hope you enjoyed your jingle as composed by Rob Dellinger, who is, of course, the John Williams of podcasting.
And now let's dive into the first half of our Force Awakens bonus feature review by discussing the deleted scenes with our friend Drew Kaplan. So it is the night of April the 5th, and we just sat down to watch The Force Awakens extra features. And we are here with our good friend, Drew Kaplan. Hey, Drew.
Hello, Richard. How are you?
Well, I'm doing great now because we're watching The Force Awakens on our own TV screen.
Awesome.
Yay.
So let's do this. We'll watch all of the features and we'll give our critical analysis.
Awesome.
So we're kind of doing a commentary on the bonus features.
Yeah. And Drew really wanted to start with the deleted scenes.
Stoked about them.
The deleted segments.
Yes.
So now each of these deleted scenes are about 30 to 60 seconds long. So we'll go through each of the, what is there, like, did we say six?
Six, I
of
believe.
them?
6, 7.
And we'll give our synopsis.
Yeah.
So the first one is Finn and the Villager. Now this happens in the Jakku village, and spoiler alert if you have not seen any of the footage.
Right. Yes, I turn back now.
Attention, Skywalkers. Spoilers ahead.
Warning.
Yes. All right, just wanted to put that out there.
All right, so the first deleted scene is character build-up of Finn, because as a stormtrooper, he races around the corner and sees a Jakku villager, and he knows that his programming is telling him to shoot her, but he just can't do it.
He can't. Nope.
Yep. No, not at all. And this is after his friend has been killed because he's got the bloody fingerprints on his helmet.
Mm-hmm.
So, do we feel like this should have been deleted?
I think they got the point across in the scene with Kylo Ren more concisely. So I don't think you needed that.
Right.
I agree with Sarah. I think that I really would have loved to have seen more scenes with the village raid and the shooting. This is a good piece, but I think it would have messed up with the tempo had they left it in without the other things. But I would have loved to seen more flamethrowers and other things. Yeah, that would have been great.
Yeah, and we already established Finn's character, so when they pulled it out, they made the right decision.
Yes. But it's still neat as a fan to see, and it further backs up what we see in Before the Awakening, where he also refuses to shoot innocents. And this is another scene. This is an actual scene in which we see that.
That's right, and I feel sorry for the woman in that scene who was cut.
Yeah.
But now the whole world will get to see her. So
yes.
Now you just mentioned Before the Awakening, which is the book about Poe, Finn, and Rey that precedes The Force Awakens.
Yes.
Great book.
Absolutely.
Now, how far are you into that book?
All right, let's move right along. I'm about 4 pages in, okay?
Okay.
And I started sometime around my birthday in January. All right, so the next one is titled Jakku Message.
So that was by far the longest scene.
Now, this scene would have just thrown the whole movie off.
Yeah,
because this would have happened in the first 20 minutes of the film.
Yeah.
First 10 minutes, really.
Yeah.
Because they're getting word that Jakku was just raided.
The Jakku village was wiped out. I'm sorry, Your Highness. There was no sign of the map anywhere.
If they get to Luke first, we haven't got a chance. What about Poe?
They found his X-Wing destroyed. Blaster marks indicate it was the First Order.
There's no mention of BB-8.
He wasn't recovered.
Never underestimate a droid.
So we would have already seen Leia, and we wouldn't have had that big moment when she gets off the cruiser, and you get to see she and Han connecting
Embrace.
for the first time,
yeah.
and who knows how long.
Yeah.
Oh.
So one thing that I think, two things that stick out to me. One is when Wexley tells her, should we ask the Republic for help? And she is so cynically dismissive of the Republic, which really gives you a sense of her attitudes towards the Republic and how irrelevant or unnecessary she feels the Republic is. And the really other funny thing is the droids and her attitude. That droids are something that can surprise you, that they can be trustworthy, more so than you might come to expect.
Yeah, I think she's basing her comment about never underestimating a droid because of her relationship to R2 and 3PO.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you think that I know she's connected to the Republic as well as the Resistance. So do you feel like she's more connected to the Resistance?
Yeah, having read some of the books, definitely.
I mean, we kind of see a little bit of that again Before the Awakening, where she seeks out Poe and she says, you really want to fight the First Order? Come join us. We can actually do something about it. And so you kind of feel that in the fight specifically against the First Order, they're irrelevant. They really are ineffectual, and they're not to be, really worked with.
So that plot element that you just referenced, was that in one of the books?
Yes, that was Poe's book.
In the Poe piece, and she recruits him from the Republic's Navy.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, the Poe piece is like a really long.
Yeah.
And really in depth. It's really interesting.
I haven't gotten there yet.
No, you haven't.
We're trying to get you to read it.
Yeah, and I want to read it so badly.
Yes.
We hope we're not giving you too many spoilers over here.
So now,
Oh, spoilers ahead.
yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah, I don't know what they were thinking about shooting this, because at some point someone, even Lawrence Kasdan, should have said, story-wise, you're ruining a really big moment, because we really want to see the characters. We want to see the Han and Leia characters. There's the plot, then there's the characters.
Right. But you know how everyone was complaining that there wasn't enough politics in this movie? That was a little bit of politics right there that they cut out.
Yeah, a little bit of politics. And the good thing, I will say this, in defense of this scene to be included or at least shot, was that it establishes the Dakar base. You get to see it, a little bit of how it's set up, who's there. I think that is a good piece of this, but you're right. It does throw off the tempo.
Yeah, it would have served the same inconsistency that the Anchorhead scene served for Star Wars. Because you go from this big battle in outer space to this kid down on the sand planet looking up at them. It just really breaks that momentum.
Yeah.
And I think adding this would have broken the momentum of the plot and the characters. And plus, it would have taken away that big scene between Han and Leia.
Yes, 100%.
And then you're getting 3PO once again interrupting that moment.
Yep.
So moving right along to the next deleted scene called X-Wings Prepare for Lightspeed, which is, 16 seconds long?
Yeah, pretty much. Although this, you really get to see the Dakar base. As the X-Wings are kind of leaving their hangars.
Yes, it is a gorgeous establishing shot.
Yes. Those establishing shots we've talked about. We like those.
All right, so this scene starts in the Dakar base, and the X-Wings are just taking off for Takodana.
Black leader, the Falcon has landed.
All fighters clear for takeoff. All fighters clear.
All teams, altitude confirmed. Hold for jump to light speed on my go. Copy that.
Roger, light speed.
Is there any other speed?
And it's pretty much just the X-Wings taking off. You see a few shots of the pilots.
And you see that nice establishing shot of the base, which also makes you think of why there's so many tree roots inside the base when there's no trees.
Maybe they were cut down.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Unless the base is even further underground than we think.
All right, so where do we stand on this scene? Yay or nay? Was it appropriate to take out, or did we want to see this left in the film?
I don't think it adds much. I mean, it's nice to see some of the pilots. The establishing shot of Dakar is great, but the pilots not so much.
And as for me, I feel that it was much more effective to have the fighter show up over the water, in Takodana.
Yes, it would have taken away that moment.
Yes,
if we knew they were coming.
Exactly, if we knew they were coming.
It's a big theme for Richard, is the taking away those special moments.
Yeah, it's all about the moments.
Yes,
you got to have your moments.
Yep.
All right, so that was 20 seconds that was worth taking out.
Yes.
Next up, now this is my favorite one. Kylo searches the Falcon.
Yeah, this one's awesome. And what I'm wondering, I love how the camera is on a canted angle. So that, there's people who aren't supposed to be part of the Falcon in the Falcon. So the camera angle's all tilted. Now, is that because the Falcon is on a tilt too?
Yes.
But I think it also works in the way of
very much so.
making you uncomfortable.
Yeah, there's no reason why Kylo should be in the Millennium Falcon. That just works against each other.
Yeah.
And the shooting structure and style really gives us that a 1,000 times over.
Yeah. And I think what Sarah said is fascinating. Of just as it's not right for him to be on there or for them to be on there, they're not the right people to be on the ship. This is also not the right angle that we expect to see this scene shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little comic booky.
Yes.
Because you see this a lot in Batman.
Absolutely comic booky.
Interesting.
Yeah, so that part there, I don't want to say disturbed me, but it's like, but seeing how the Falcon is at a slant, it makes sense.
Yeah.
But to see Kylo in the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon, well, can you imagine seeing Darth Vader in the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon? Put that visual in your head.
Yeah.
Yikes.
That would have been scary.
Okay, here's my question though, because Kylo's walking around now. Does he know that this is his dad's ship,
I would think
so.
That's a good question.
Because he's like, he's in the Millennium Falcon kind of looking, and then when he goes in the cockpit, that's when he senses Han Solo. But if he was Han Solo's son, shouldn't he have known what the Millennium Falcon
and we
looks
don't really
like?
know when Han lost the Falcon.
Right. So that's a thing is, Han Solo said he lost it to so-and-so and whatever, but we don't know how long it's been hanging out in Jakku or elsewhere. And we don't know if he ever spent time hanging out in the Millennium Falcon as a child or his father was off. We really don't know.
And this is a member of the family. This
Yes.
isn't just a ship.
Yes.
This is
This
is home.
Yeah.
That's
so
why
I
I'm
think Kylo
confused.
had been in the Falcon before.
You think so?
I think for
I
a
would
brief
think so.
second, he had a little bit of a flashback. And I think that really bothered him because
Yeah.
he's being pulled toward the light and just, nope, there you go.
Yeah.
And I love the contrast here where you have the black suited figure of Kylo Ren up against the white snow. You can really sense that conflict.
It's really great.
Within this scene.
Yeah.
And I just love anything in the snow. So to see Kylo with the snow around him, that just, snow always signifies and symbolizes death.
Yeah.
Oh.
And this is perfect right here. Because you have the Millennium Falcon in the background. That's more of a whitish. You get these snow-capped mountains in the background.
Yeah.
It's a low angle. So this scene just works.
Wow.
So, yay or nay? Would you want to see it in the film?
Yay. I'll tell you also why. Not only for the Millennium Falcon piece, but also for what we see at the end of the scene in which the X-Wings come and attack a Starkiller base. It gives you an understanding of why they weren't being shot at first originally, because he was off with these snow troopers checking out this invading ship.
Yeah. You know what? I think I would have liked to have seen this scene in the movie because it connects Kylo Ren with Han Solo.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you get to see a brief second of a backstory there, whereas he on Starkiller Base just senses Han.
Yeah.
But now there's more of a family connection.
And says my favorite line. Han Solo.
I also think it gives you a better if this scene were to be included, it gives you a better understanding of when they do meet. It's not a total shock when he hears his name being shouted by his father, that he already had a sense his father was on the planet.
Right.
I think it would have been fun to see this scene in a theater full of people on that opening night.
Yes.
Because to see anyone else in the Millennium Falcon,
Oh, yeah.
it's like, but get out of there. Get out of there.
I think everyone would have been going crazy.
Yeah. Because I think it goes back to seeing someone like Darth Vader in the Millennium Falcon. Like, what do even in The Empire Strikes Back, when we see Lando in the cockpit, it's like, this is kind of making me uneasy. I know you used to own the Falcon and all, but that's not your place.
Yeah.
So I think it kind of works the same thing here, that someone unfamiliar is in the cockpit. Now, I don't even want to picture Unkar Plutt in the cockpit. I don't even want to go there.
Yeah.
All right, next up we have Snow Speeder Chase.
So here we have Finn and Rey being chased in these snow speeders that look like they could have been left over from Buck Rogers in the 25th century. When they had made these as toys, I was never too crazy about these designs just because they didn't really have much to them.
Well, they're so blocky.
Yeah.
Oh, what these speeders remind me of is actually the very beginning of The Empire Strikes Back, when you see on Hoth in the base there, in the Echo base.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they do.
They do?
Yeah. Yeah, they're used as transports.
Yeah.
Oh.
But now one of my favorite characters are the Snow Troopers. I think because that's the first action figure I ever owned from The Empire Strikes Back, so they have a nostalgic feel for me. So I was really aching to see Snow Troopers in The Force Awakens.
Yeah.
And then in the final film, we see like 10 seconds of them.
Yeah.
I want to see them in action.
In The Force Awakens?
Yeah.
We see snowtroopers?
Yeah, on Starkiller Base, right, they're standing with Hux. Hux gives them a command, and then they're off.
Huh. Oh, wow.
Now, the thing that bothers me about the snowtroopers is they have like a quarter of an inch of a visor to see through.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, that really bugs me.
No, I know it's to shield them from the blinding snow.
Yeah.
But I kind of want to see them bumping into stuff and go, Hux, you put this helmet on. You tell me what you see.
Yeah.
I agree.
So now I'm not really sure where this would fit in.
So, what is it? I think Rey, in order for Han and Chewie to get into the place where they put all
the
charges,
yeah,
she has to go in some underground, like to a bunker, kind of like in
Return of the Jedi.
No. Well, no, kind of like in Jurassic Park.
Okay.
Where she has to run to that
Right.
other bunker to regroup the charges.
All right.
Well, here, Ray and Finn had to go run somewhere else so that she could rewire some things or do whatever in order for Han and Chewie to get in.
Okay. Now, this is one of the most incomplete deleted scenes that we have.
Well,
because I
yeah.
want to see the sequence, not just a scene. Show me where this fits in. Show me the beginning and the ending. How did they get that speeder? Where do they end up?
Yeah, the
That's
extended
what-
scene. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I want to see.
Yes. So one neat thing about that scene is that otherwise in the movie we just have we have Finn giving Rey the jacket, and then in a short scene next we see her returning it to him. We really don't see her wearing it more than a few seconds, so it seems very she just wears it for 2 seconds. Here with this scene, we see it serves a purpose. It's really a nice gesture. It really is helping her stay somewhat warm, and that's great.
Well, he's just being a gentleman.
Very much so.
That's true. He's
All right.
part of the resistance, so he better be.
He's a big
This is
deal.
what they look
Yeah,
like.
he's a very big
There you go. Nice.
And he's got a lot of etiquette too.
Yes.
Unlike Han, would never give Leia his Bespin jacket.
Yeah.
No, you fend for yourself, girl.
Well, she looked so cute in that.
Well, I'm not gonna argue
those
that.
Cloud City robes.
No, I meant on Hoth before it was a Bespin jacket.
Oh, okay. All right.
All
So speaking of Finn,
All right, so this scene here, where pretty much the doctor is reassuring Rey that Finn will be okay.
Yeah.
Your friend's gonna be just fine.
Needed, not needed.
I think it's unnecessary. Although we do see this medic doctor in a consoling role, just as she was with Chewbacca.
Right.
So this very calm presence, which
Right.
is nice, but it's otherwise unnecessary.
that Downton Abbey calm presence.
Sarah, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was great. Ray did a great job. Or Daisy Ridley, she looked very concerned, like almost like she didn't believe what the doctor was saying, but hadn't sunk in yet.
Yeah, this was a 20-second insert scene,
Yeah.
which I could have gone either way. It wouldn't have hurt the film. For me, I know when I saw The Force Awakens, I thought they left Finn just hanging there.
Yeah.
We knew he was going to be okay, but just with her saying he's going to be okay, it's like, okay, now we kind of get an understanding where I think in The Force Awakens they left that dangling more than they should have.
So it sounds like you might like it.
Yeah, for such a pivotal character, let's hear how he's doing as opposed to just leaving him there.
I think in the movie we saw that there was a sense that he was just maybe in a coma. He would come back.
We saw Rey staring at him, but we never really got anything. And I know that we're, because of episode 8, he's coming back.
Yeah.
But I just kind of wanted a little bit of a closure on his well-being.
Okay. I totally get that. I think one concern is maybe the tempo, because if I remember correctly, the tempo was really fast-paced and rushy around.
Right.
And this has a slow element to it.
Right.
So, yeah, unless you want to go for the contrast of the rushing around, hey, we got, we're ready to go find Luke Skywalker, but we need to slow down.
You know what I really think? That John Williams wrote some beautiful music there that it would have interrupted that flow. Because if you think about it, from the time of the X-Wings jumping into light speed from Starkiller Base to then everyone meeting and being okay, and then Rey off to her
Finding Luke.
Yeah.
It's like kind of a symphony right there, part of a movement of a symphony.
This would have been before that.
No.
We did have the scene of Rey looking in on Finn.
Right.
So I think this 20-second segment, I think would have wrapped things up for the characters, and I don't think it would have interrupted the rhythm of the ending.
So you would have liked it. Drew, what about you?
I'm okay with this being out.
Being not in the movie.
I'm okay with this not being in the movie because I think that they were able to let us know that he's in a coma, or he's unconscious, but he's going to be okay without spending so much time, and also not affecting the pacing of everything going on.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think this 20-second scene would have really hurt anything.
Okay.
And I'm okay with it being
And plus,
out.
we get to see the blue droid.
Yeah, PZ
Yes.
4CO.
Yes, we could have seen more of him.
That's right.
And I'm sure Bob Iger's like, hey, we spent $200,000 on this prop. Can you please show him more? We just
Yes.
made an action figure around him. What do you say? Just throw in another shot of him, please?
Right.
Come on. I have stockholders to answer to.
Well, I'm okay with the scene being out because I think the music works better.
Okay. All right. And now moving on to the last deleted scene titled Tunnel Standoff.
Aha! This is Han Solo in his prime doing his thing, getting out of a jam by pretending
talking
to
his
be
way out of it.
Yeah.
Is there another way out of here?
No, it's not.
What are you doing?
Put your weapons down! We're taking you into custody by order of Supreme Leader Snoke.
Snoke. You know Smoke?
Snoke! Supreme Leader Snoke!
What makes him supreme?
Put your weapons down!
What did he do? Is this something he did? Is this about the stormtrooper boots?
That's how you knew.
Weapons down!
Here.
That's my gun. I'm gonna give him my gun. My gun.
Down.
And the other one, the hairy one.
That's smart.
Don't call him
smart,
that.
Solo.
Put it down.
And your blaster!
What is wrong with you?
My blaster?
Give him the blaster.
It's broken.
This is by far the funniest Han Solo scene.
I don't know about that.
What would compete?
I really like when he takes Chewie's bowcaster and goes, "Can I use this?" And I like this.
Yeah.
You know, that was pretty.
But
funny.
here you feel almost like he's being a stand-up comedian.
Yeah, which I don't quite think.
Well,
fits
it's
his
funny
character.
because he's faced off against stormtroopers who knows
Yeah.
how many times.
Yeah.
And now that there's a whole squad of them in front of him, he doesn't have his blaster at the ready. It's like, you know what, guys, come on.
Yeah.
Come on. I've dealt with you guys before.
Yeah.
And I've walked away and I'll do it again.
Yeah.
Actually, it is funny you say that. You know, remembering in A New Hope how he runs and into those squad of stormtroopers and
Yeah.
runs the other way.
Yeah.
Similar to this.
Yeah.
Well, this time they're approaching him.
Right.
And I think in Star Wars, they looked at him like, what is this?
Yeah.
And the stormtroopers are pretty much all new recruits and the bottom of the barrel troopers. So what do we do? Run?
Well,
But
not
I
according
think-
to Finn's training. They're not all bottom of the barrel.
No, I mean in Star Wars.
The Empire, the
Oh.
Imperial Stormtroopers.
Yeah, here
not the First Order.
they're better trained because
Gotcha.
whereas in Star Wars they're draftees or they're taken in because they're the second nephew to Admiral Piet or Captain Piet at that point. Here they're taken at birth and trained to be stormtroopers. And I think it's hilarious when the stormtrooper refers to Snoke. What does Han say?
Smoke.
Yeah.
Do we know a smoke? The
That's
trooper asks for
funny.
his pistol, and it's broken. It's not gonna do with anything.
Right. Who made him supreme?
Yeah. I'm not sure how he's going to get out of this jam, but we know he does.
Yeah, that's the biggest problem I think with the scene, or not actually having anything after this scene.
Right.
Is not showing how do they get out of it.
Yeah, this was the deleted scene that really upset me.
Yes.
Because I wanted to see more of it.
Yeah.
Don't just show us the small clip. Show us the whole sequence.
It's such a tease.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're all in favor of.
I'm in favor
seeing more.
Yes, I'm in favor of either taking this out or seeing more. I don't think this alone could have sufficed.
Well, no, there's no way.
Yeah.
There's no way.
So next Blu-ray release, we're going to get commentary and we're going to get the rest of this scene.
Yeah. So now, do we think we'll get the rest of these scenes in the box set?
I think there are a lot of scenes they're holding back. I think that we're missing Constable Zuvio. There's more of the raid on the Jakku town, the village, and I'd love to see more of the Maz Kanata's castle. I think there's a lot more that they're holding back, and us fans would love to see.
Yeah, because I don't think they showed enough of Maz Kanata's, the denizens in her cantina. They really zipped around. It's like, let us see this, let us see that, let us see this character and that character.
Yeah.
Seriously.
And not only that, we already got some teasers from the visual dictionary, the Force Awakens visual dictionary, that there are certain characters that even Rey interacted with and had an effect on her. So I'd love to see that footage.
Right. All right. So now that we've seen all of the deleted scenes, what's our overall impression of this segment of the DVD? I'm sorry, Blu-ray.
I would love to see more. I think this is a good start, but I would love to see a lot more scenes, especially with As the Constable Zuvio, maybe more Phasma scenes, the raids, and Takodana.
Yeah. So personally, this was very disappointing for me, just because you show us the intros and the outros of the scenes, and I'm guessing because they didn't finish the scenes. I know we saw some renderings of the special effects and backgrounds.
Yeah.
But it's The Force Awakens. Come on, we're all waiting for this stuff.
Yeah.
And I wanted to see commentary by J.J. Abrams for every one of these deleted scenes.
Right, why they were omitted.
Yeah, and what the reasoning was behind taking them out, even shooting them.
Yeah.
Because some scenes, you got to wonder why was this even shot?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love when we were watching the Mulan DVD, and they had a lot of stuff about that. Like the directors would come on and talk about why they deleted some things or just stuff wasn't working.
So I feel like this set was the set that was completed last January.
Huh.
Instead of, okay, we have 3 more months, let's keep on building onto it.
Yeah. My favorite scene, though, although I think this is a good start and I would love to see more, I think the most valuable piece of this was the Kylo Ren on the Millennium Falcon. That was awesome. And as you pointed out, Richard, it has great visual effects with the contrast of the black and the white and being in the snow, the tiltedness of the Millennium Falcon. So I think that's the most valuable one. And like you, I would love to see more.
If they had just added in Rey's vision, just that one, that one whole sequence, because they shot more, I would have been ecstatic with that.
Yeah.
With commentary. That should have been a deleted feature on this bonus disc.
Yeah.
Rey's vision. Everyone would have just dove for that.
Yeah. It's valuable.
Yeah, but I think they want to leave that up to interpretation, so they don't want to over-explain it. But maybe just JJ saying, okay, freeze it right here. This is the Knights of Ren. This is what happened.
I think we're going to have to wait 5 years until after episode 9 comes out. We know what happens to everyone.
Yeah, I think too much of The Force Awakens is up to your interpretation.
Yeah.
So that's why they don't give us Rey's vision.
Yeah.
Kind of like the finale to Star Wars Rebels.
Where's Dave Filoni when you need him?
You have to tell us nothing.
Thanks so much, Drew, for joining us as we dove into the deleted scenes. Next week, we'll pick up by looking at the documentaries, including A Cinematic Journey, Crafting Creatures, and Building BB-8. Well, that wraps up episode 116 of
Skywalking Through Neverland.
We would like to thank Craig Miller for joining us this week, as well as Drew Kaplan.
And thanks to all of our Skywalkers on Periscope for joining us. And we want to give a special shout out thank you to Disney and Lucasfilm for releasing the Rogue One trailer on a Thursday.
Yeah, just in time for us to have a late show. Thanks, guys. And thanks everyone, all of you Skywalkers out there, for supporting the show. Of course, we have our TeePublic site with tons of different designs, including a Skywalker of the Week design, which, Margaret Mays, you may want one of those now. And we also have our BB-8 t-shirt designs, which are always flying off the shelves. We appreciate that. So if you want to go check out that site, and also shop at Her Universe for that awesome Ahsoka tee that was designed by Dave Filoni, head to skywalkingthrough.neverland.com first and click on the Support Us tab. There you will find links to buy things through those links, and we appreciate that. Now for social media, please join us. Keep that conversation going all the time. We are at Skywalking Pod on Twitter, on Instagram, on Periscope, and most recently on Snapchat. I really don't know how it works, but I'm trying it out. So if you want to add me on Snapchat, just remember it's Skywalking Pod, because I have learned that you have to actually know the name of the person to add them. You can't just search. All right, and on Facebook, we are Skywalking Through Neverland, and we're about to start a Facebook group so that you guys can all talk to each other and become a really tight-knit community that I know you guys already are on Twitter, but I think on Facebook you can become even tighter through our Facebook group. And you can email us, share@skywalkingthrough.neverland.com. Was there anything we asked them to email us some things? Oh, they're super silly secret talents.
Oh, yes, yes.
Yes, so if you have a super silly secret talent that would translate well to audio, please email us at share@skywalkingthrough.neverland.com and let us know what that is. We are going to be doing a segment.
And if you can give us a little audio excerpt of your secret.
Super secret silly talent.
Yes.
Your Skywalker super secret silly. Uh-oh.
Your Skywalker super secret silly talent.
There you go.
There you go.
Yay.
We would love to see that.
Yes. Now, everyone, iTunes or Stitcher reviews, we love those. And we got 4 reviews this past month that I just looked at today. I was like, oh my gosh, they were so sweet. And they were people telling us how they listen. One listens with their kid. One listens with their significant other. Another listens while they're at work or driving or traveling. So we love that. Now, if you want to tell us how you listen and also write us an iTunes review, that would be wonderful. We love those. And we'll be sharing a few more of those on later episodes.
Now, speaking of listening, are you Skywalkers listening to the other great shows over here at RetroZap.com?
That's right.
Our friends Shaz Bazaar and Jedi Schwa do a fantastic show called Techno Retro Dads.
Yes, and we also have on this network
Talking Apes TV, where me and Mark Rogushewitz talk about the animated Planet of the Apes TV series, which is a lot of fun, and the Deucecast movie show, and many, many more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, most recently on that network was Brews and Blasters. And say hello to a little squirrel who's walking out the window with a little nut in his mouth. How cute was that?
We're very easily distracted.
It's true. Squirrel! It really was. It worked that time. That's from Up. Yes, that's why you don't remember.
I fell asleep.
I know. All right, everyone. So, is there anything else we need to say?
Yes.
What?
NeverLand on Alderaan.
Some imagination, huh?
To our Skywalkers and Tweetwalkers, thanks for listening. Skywalking Through Neverland is created and produced by Richard and Sarah Woloski. Original music by Rob Dellinger. Creative consultant Mark Augushewitz. Technical advisor Peter Heitman. Facebook administrators Donald Wicks, Joey Pittman, and Norma Heitman.
Skywalking Through Neverland is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Any sounds, music, and clips played during this podcast are the property of their copyright holders. All original content is property of Skywalking Through Neverland, all rights reserved. Sorry, had to be said.
Press record!
Back to 1.
It won't be a blooper because we didn't record it. All right.
Nothing to bloop.
Wow.
And as a preview of things to come, we did record. Oh, you know, we did that last week. That was supposed to be a note that should have been erased.
Oops. That was last week's notes.
Yes, it was.
They managed to rescue the princess. Nope.
Okay. Bleh.
Take 2.
I know. Okay. Well,
okay, let me lead you in there.
Leave me in.
Okay.
Thank you.
Ready? All right. Skywalker Super Silly Secret.
Oops.
I'll take this one, okay?
Okay. Or Skywalker Super Secret. Uh-oh. That's
See.
hard to say fast.
You guys have any super secret things we want to share?
Ba-da-ba-da-da.
Things we want to share.
Ba-da-ba-da-da. Okay, are we ready?
Yeah, let's roll into this now.
All right.
Hold on, she's getting the buttons. You know, the more you do this, the more I gotta edit out.
And now before you have things you want to share, I have to take a little break really quick.
Where are you going?
Really quick. Really quick break. I'll be right back.
She's gotta use the girls' room. Yeah.
What, sweetie?
I said all the periscopers are now taking a potty break too.